When you crave activity like we do, you belong in the Rhoback family. Get the best golf wear, hoodies, and activewear for men and women at Rhoback.com. Use promo code TNR20 to get 20% off your order. That's Rhoback.com, promo code TNR20.
The World Wide Web is a large place. Find all your favorite people and content in the same spot. NextRoundLive.com is full of wonderful tidbits about the show you know and love. Find our gear, listen to your favorite personalities, follow our socials, and enjoy your trip to NextRoundLive.com.
Since you listened to my last message so well and got rid of those cargo shorts and stained t-shirts, it's time to replace them with Rhoback. Go to Rhoback.com and click on the Refresh collection to find all that you need for an EG-approved wardrobe. It includes pieces that will have you ready to hit the golf course after a busy day of meetings or comfy favorites for travel and working from home. Get 20% off using code TNR20. See, I'm saving you some money.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family, all at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Do you need some refreshed college wear to represent your team this year? Shop Rhoback's Game Day collection that includes both Alabama and Auburn. From quarter zips to hoodies, Rhoback has it all. Get 20% off on us using code TNR20 at Rhoback.com. If you're looking to expand business and inform the Next Round audience about your exciting brand, contact us. Send an email to sales@nextroundlive.com to be a part of the team and advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential customers on our ever-expanding platform. Join our existing partners in the fastest-growing media space, both live and on demand, and reach the most desirable audience for your business. Get information and more by emailing sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to take your business to the next level with the Next Round.
No matter the occasion, the Next Round store has you covered with whatever you need. Head over to nextround.store and start filling your cart up now. When you wear your gear, make sure to let us know by posting on socials, and you might just end up seeing yourself during a commercial break. Go browse now at nextround.store and place your order before the break ends.
When the clock hits 0, go to all Next Round video platforms for instant reactions for the latest Auburn and Alabama basketball games. Follow, like, subscribe, and set those alerts. The madness starts now, so be a part of it at Next Round Live on all social platforms.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there. By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Woo, boy, what a weekend for the SEC, for Alabama, for Auburn, for Jim Dunaway, for Taylor Corn, for basketball. It was a fun weekend. Welcome in, everyone, to the Next Round. You see Jimmy Dunaway there in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, where he hasn't seen the sun in a fortnight. I'm Ryan Brown in Birmingham in the studios, the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. It's the Next Round presented by Bud Light. What's up, Jimmy D? How are you?
I will tell you that I have breaking news in Cleveland. There is partly cloudy skies. Blue skies do exist over Cleveland for the first time. Now we're sitting at a balmy 39 degrees here. My wife tells me that it hit 80 and it was perfect weather yesterday in Birmingham.
Perfect over the weekend. You could not have found, other than pollen, which is going to, it's just going to exist. You could not have found a better weekend than we had this weekend in Birmingham. So you have exchanged perfect Birmingham weather for Cleveland weather. But you are headed to the tropics of Newark, New Jersey, so it's got to improve from there, right?
Yeah, I don't think Taylor understood on the basketball show last night when I said, you won the lottery. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, Lexington, better town than Cleveland.
Yes.
And Atlanta, better town than Newark. She's on a tropical tour of spring break. I, meanwhile, am taking out the old industrial Midwest and Eastern coast that made America great in the late 1800s.
Dunaway's going to return for the NCAA tournament with a black lung. That's going to be your it's going to be your part
I'm coming. Listen, I've just got to win these states if I'm going to win the election. That's why I'm here.
All right, so much happened over the weekend. Let's start with the most recent thing we saw, all right? We'll get to Auburn on Saturday over Creighton, but it's still less than 24 hours from you sitting in the Rocket Arena there watching Alabama beat St. Mary's. You yourself had said the one team I don't want to see in Alabama's region is St. Mary's. That's the one team I don't want to see there. And I even texted you during the game. I was like, I cannot believe you were so worried about this team. Alabama kept them at arm's length basically that entire game.
They did. Now, I don't want you guys to settle in to not thinking Alabama did something to make that happen.
No, they play great defense.
No, that's what you guys in the media do. If Auburn plays somebody, it's the greatest win of all time. If Alabama beats somebody, you guys come on here and tell us how bad the opponent is. That's what the media does. I'm telling you that Alabama's defensive effort, especially in the first half, disrupted what St. Mary's can do. That team was a 5 seed last year, and they had a better year this year. So they were a 5 seed, but because the SEC put so many teams into this tournament, they got knocked down to a 7 seed. So basically you're playing a 5 seed last night, and their shots didn't fall. But if you go back, I mean, if you guys would take your media goggles off and go back and look at the freaking tape, Alabama's defense is the reason why they were missing shots. They were contested shots. Alabama's defensive effort, just like they did last year against North Carolina and Clemson to get to the Final Four, stepped up. Now, in the second half, it wasn't the same, and that's how St. Mary's was able to stay close. And Alabama made some clutch buckets, Brownie. I mean, you think about it in that game, every time it got to 8 or 7, and Alabama had the basketball, and if they missed it, you knew it was going to become a 2-possession game at the other end of the floor. Every time it got to 8 and 7 in the second half, Alabama hit a big bucket, and as you said, kept them at arm's length.
Yeah, Alabama dominated the boards. I thought the biggest thing in that game, Dunaway, and I'll pull it up in a second and look at you may have the box in front of you. I don't know if you got the box score from last night.
I've got everything in front of me right now. I've got 18 days of luggage. But yeah, I can pull up the box score. Go ahead. I may have it memorized.
No, I'm telling you, you're going to need the official from Alabama box score because number of possessions is what I was going to bring up.
Okay.
I have not looked at it, but I thought what Alabama did that won them the game last night was Nate Oats and Alabama were able to dictate pace of the game rather than allow St. Mary's to dictate pace of the game. And the possessions per game, there was about a 12 possession per game difference on average. And I think Alabama's was 79 and St. Mary's was 67. Maybe I'm off on that. I would say Alabama probably closer to their average possessions per game than St. Mary's was to theirs, which is an indicator of how Alabama dictated pace there.
Yeah. Nate Oats had told me before the game that if you guys are expecting a 80-possession game, you can give up on that.
That's right.
And if I knew where to look for possessions, I would do that right now.
I'll find it.
Yeah. I'm looking at the box score. I'm going to the play-by-play. I don't have to count this, outright by myself, right?
No, you don't do that, please. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay.
I cannot imagine anything more painful than you counting possessions right now.
Yeah. I just I don't know how it was a slower pace than Alabama was used to, but you're right. They were able to play it closer to their pace than St. Mary's did, and that was because of the rebounding. Alabama out-rebounded them by 10. They had they limited, even though a lot of offensive rebounds for St. Mary's, they limited those, and that was going to be the key to the game. It was going to be, can you make sure that it's a one rebound or no rebound trip every time for St. Mary's, and not let them get a second shot, a third shot at it every time. And for the most part in the game, they did that. They had more success in the second half than they did in the first half. And that's why, if you look at it, it was a lot closer game score-wise in the second half. Luckily, that halftime lead, thanks to Chris Youngblood, was the key. Alabama really did a good job defensively, in my opinion.
Yeah, another Chris Youngblood stat that just continues to hang around is Alabama now 10-1 when he scores in double digits. He had double digits at the half last night. So Alabama was able to keep that stat going. But Chris Youngblood, tremendous for the Crimson Tide last night. It's just, you watch this NCAA tournament and you see a lot of teams that they got one player, maybe two players. In Alabama, it's just depth on depth on depth. They just keep running guys at you. And they kept talking about that in the telecast last night, and St. Mary's coach was talking about that as well, they just run guys at you off that bench. You never get to take a deep breath against them.
Yeah, and I know you guys hate to give Nate Oats credit in the media. You guys are always
Are we going to do this all show? Is this going to be all show? Are you going to play this character?
I'm just saying, you guys always want to give other coaches their flowers all the time, but nobody wants to talk about Nate Oats. He just plays this system, but he's not a good X's and O's coach. So Nate Oats, his substitution pattern was elite early on. And what Alabama was able to do was to run big after big in really short shifts and continue to keep the size on the floor. You can have Omore out there, you can have Diabate out there, you can have Sherrill out there, you can have Stevenson out there, Grant Nelson playing through the pain, played all the minutes that he needed to play, and you just keep running these 6'11" guys out, or Mo Diabate, who plays like 6'11", while St. Mary's only plays 7. Their threes play a lot of minutes. And I think it was at the under 16 timeout of the second half, and every St. Mary's starter had played over 20 minutes, and that was at the under 16 timeout. And you just looked at their big guys. Their big guy inside, I think number 11, from about the under 12 timeout in the first half, it was like he was carrying 3 of himself up the floor every time. He was just slow trotting up the court, because they couldn't play at the pace that could keep those big guys' legs under him. And Nate Oats got into their legs, and he got into their legs early with a quick substitution, and he knew that would pay off in later rounds. So you media guys can talk about Nate Oats not being a system coach, but the guy was elite last night.
All right, let's hear from Nate Oats then. Tyler, if you would, cut one.
Oh, y'all have
please.
Sound from Nate Oats?
Yeah, we got sound from Nate Oats. Cut one for Alabama basketball coach Nate Oats. Here's what the coach said after the game. As Jim mentioned, you had Mark Sears, 2 fouls pretty early in that game. He had to go to the bench. Here's what Alabama's coach said about the way the Alabama team played when Sears was on the bench.
We had 6 guys scoring double figures between 10 and 13. I really want to – Sears is not up here, but I thought his energy, his positivity when he was on the bench with the 2 fouls, how hard he played on defense even with the foul trouble, I thought was huge. We had other guys step up and be able to score. I think it's tough to guard us when you got 6 guys capable of getting double digits, and that's not even counting multiple guys that have scored it well for us that didn't get to double digits. So I thought we had great leadership tonight, showed a lot of toughness. Said, the tougher team's going to win this one, and that's one of the tougher teams in the country. So really, our guys really stepped up and met the challenge there tonight.
We'll talk about that toughness, but first, here's Nate Oats. We just discussed the tempo in this game. This is what everybody talked about. Can St. Mary's dictate that slow tempo? Tempo-wise, they're 7th from the bottom in the NCAA. Tempo-wise, Alabama number 1 in the NCAA. There was a tempo mismatch. What did Alabama do to control the tempo? Here's the Alabama head coach.
I thought we were able to get into their lack of depth a little bit. And with the pace that they typically play, I don't think that ever really affects them. But, we looked at possessions. I think the last time they had a 70 I think they've only had 270 possession games all year, and one was against a non-Division one was against Akron, I think the third game of the year in November. So we were able to get it to 70 possessions. Not 80 like we like to get, but against a team like that, you're kind of winning the tempo war. If you can get it to 70, first team to score over 80 on them and over 100-plus games. So I think our depth, our tempo did get to them.
So tempo was obviously a key in this game. We talked a little bit about it there, and you heard Nate Oats say it there, Dunaway, that the tempo got to St. Mary's. That's exactly what you were saying. It's what the Alabama head coach said after the game, is that you could tell. It was like at times St. Mary's was dragging pianos up and down the floor. They were not used to being run the way Alabama ran them.
Yeah, and that was the key. Get the defensive rebound and then just run, and substitute a lot. 105 games is what St. Mary's has played. And again, they go to the NCAA tournament just about every year, and they play Gonzaga 2 or 3 times every year. 105 games since somebody scored 80 points on them. And Alabama, had 42 at the half. So, and they get there. That's a long streak of not getting to 80. That's how well Alabama played at both ends of the floors last night. Could not be more pleased with the effort you got from Alabama. And he talked about spreading the basketball around. Mark Sears has set the record now for NCAA tournament wins at Alabama. He's the winningest Alabama basketball player in NCAA tournament history from the University of Alabama. And he set that record with the win over Robert Morris. And then he got that, extended that record even more with the win last night. He hasn't really had 2 Mark Sears-like games, especially in the first half, but he continues to be a pestering defender. But the distribution of the basketball from Mark Sears, he has been selfless, the opposite of selfish in this tournament. And it is helping this basketball team to have that many guys in double figures. As Nate said there, you don't know who to focus on. You can't defend everybody. And if everybody's scoring double figures, that depth is what you've wanted from Alabama all year. It hasn't always been there this year. That defensive effort hasn't always been there. But these are the games that matter most. And for the first time since Wimp in the mid-'80s, Alabama's gone to the Sweet 16 or deeper 3 straight years, and that's an accomplishment.
All right, so some reaction from the chat room before Jim tells us about Urology Center's Alabama. Michael says Alabama was in attack mode all night. Only saw 1 lazy pass that was stolen. They were playing tournament-level basketball. A couple people saying a bit concerning that Mo Diabate is the best three-point shooter right now. We'll talk more about that later as Alabama moves on. There is that. I'm not going to lie. You watch them, and they're not shooting the three well right now, but I think we're well beyond that narrative of Alabama can't win when they don't hit their threes. I think everyone has figured that one out by now. Gosh, there was one more I was going to read before we did that. Am I Believer. Ken Palm rankings of the teams that just Alabama and Auburn beat. And we'll talk more about Ken Palm in a second as well, because there's this one stat we keep up with, and we've told you Alabama could play their way into the window. They're getting closer and closer. Ken Palm rankings of opponents. Robert Morris, 133, St. Mary's, 25. Alabama State, 270, Creighton, 35. According to Ken Palm, Alabama and Auburn have had somewhat of a similar road. We're about to talk about Auburn right now as they won Saturday over Creighton. First, Dunaway, Urology Center's Alabama.
Yeah, friends at Urology Centers of Alabama men want to keep you on top of your health as you move from your 20s to your 30s, 30s to 40s, 40s to 50s. Early detection is so important when it comes to our friends at UCA, and it helps you. There are so many diseases that could impact us as men that if you get early detection on, the survival rate and all the problems that could come with it are almost non-existent. That's why it's so important with our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama to find one of their 16 locations here in our viewing area. 16 locations in central Alabama, and you can find them out right there at urologycentersalabama.com, urologycentersalabama.com, or call on your screen. From kidney stones to prostate health, vasectomies, and everything else, UCA can take care of you. urologycentersalabama.com.
And also this time of year, you're doing a lot of printing because you got those brackets printed. Hope you hadn't torn them up and burned them just yet. But if you're a business that is printing all the time, businesses like car dealerships, schools, pharmacies, tax offices, April 15th, just around the corner. So a lot of printing goes on at tax offices. ImageCraft can help you save. They've been doing this for 40 years, so they know what they're doing. HP, Brother, Canon, Dell, Lexmark, Konica, Minolta, Kyocera, Ricoh, Sharp, Xerox. They handle all those there at ImageCraft. And they have free same-day delivery on all in-stock items in the Birmingham Metro, free shipping outside of the Birmingham Metro. And you can save at imagecraft.net. Code TNR10 online helps you save 10% on all your printing supplies at imagecraft.net. Code TNR10. Shop in-store in Trussville, right there in the Trussville, just off Gadsden Highway in Trussville, near the Pinnacle Shopping Center. Code next round for 10% off there. Code next round at imagecraft.net. And ImageCraft. Print more, spend less with ImageCraft. All right, Saturday, Auburn rebounded from what Associate Head Coach Stephen Pearl called an embarrassing performance, what Head Coach Bruce Pearl called an unacceptable performance. And they played a really good Creighton team in Lexington, trailed by 2 at the half, but outscored Creighton by 14 in the second half. Dunaway, Tahaad Pettiford was spectacular in this game for the Tigers.
Yeah, you guys will talk about Bruce Pearl in the media and say that, listen, Tahaad Pettiford is a guy that, and I hope he's at Auburn as long as he can be. If he chooses to, I think that kid's going to be a star in the NBA because of his ability to create a shot. I think he is about as, if he wanted to be a one-and-done guy out of the SEC, he could be that guy. He is that good at creating a shot, and it's amazing that he has been, the sixth man, the guy off the bench all year long. Did not have a great shooting night in the exit from the SEC tournament and seemed to be apologetic to Auburn fans. And he basically told him on camera when Taylor and I were interviewing him in the locker room that he'd be back. He'd make up for the performance he put on in Nashville. And boy, he did that. His creativity against a stingy Creighton defense. And that's a seasoned veteran. That Ashworth kid looks like he was around when we expanded the tournament. he looked like he was 42 years old. And then Kalkbrenner's a big guy. But Pettiford was good. And I got to give credit to Chad Baker-Mazara, too, especially in the second half. That guy had a wonderful basketball game. And hats off to Chad Baker. I know there's a lot of buzz around him all the time, not always positive. But when he plays like he played against Creighton, Auburn is at its strongest. And I think that they looked more like themselves in the Creighton game than they had maybe since the losing 3 or 4 to end the year. Once they clinched at Kentucky, I don't think they looked as good in any of those other games until that Creighton game, especially in the second half. That was a positive sign if you're an Auburn fan, at least my opinion.
But what if I had told you going in that Broome was 8-12? And well, 12 would have told you Creighton missed several shots, so that would have helped you feel better there. But the 8 part of 8-12, you would have felt like Kalkbrenner worked him, and this would have been closer than a 12-point game. At least I would have. That's the way I would have felt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He plays 34 minutes and gets 8 points.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was Kalkbrenner. I just think there were, and how can I say this? There were times in that game where Auburn was choosing, and I think this was a coaching decision, was choosing not to run the offense through Johni Broome like they do sometimes. And they were choosing to let their guards win the game because they had such a size and physical advantage over Creighton in the second half than they did on the inside with Johni Broome. If that makes any sense at all, I think they were like, we are more comfortable letting Denver Jones, Chad Baker-Mazara, Miles Kelly, and of course Tahaad Pettiford win the basketball game for us against Creighton. That's where our advantage is the largest in this game. So let's see if we can play our offense through the guards and not through Johni Broome. And I think he was just more of a decoy in this game than he ended up being a big factor. I was wrong about that on Friday's show. I thought he would eat Kalkbrenner's lunch. He ends up with 8-12. He does his part, but by no means did he eat his lunch.
He did not, and Kalkbrenner himself scored 18. He only pulled down 7 boards, but he had 18 points. So you've always said that guy's soft, and that wasn't an Auburn thing. You actually said that after Alabama beat them, and we were talking about the way Alabama defended Kalkbrenner, beating a guy like Kalkbrenner. You're like, no, that dude's soft, man. So you've always said that about him. I'll give you credit. You have been consistent on you've been consistent on 2 things: worried about St. Mary's and Kalkbrenner is soft.
Yeah, well, let me just show you something.
Okay.
Kalkbrenner, he had 2 personal fouls. Okay, if you're 7-1 and you're playing in an NCAA tournament game and you've only got 7 rebounds, hell, I want you fighting a little bit harder, but maybe you pick up that 3rd foul at some point in the contest of a game. I know you want to get him early. I think he played, I think it was 34 minutes before he got his first foul in game time, not playing time, but in game time, before he got his first foul in Tuscaloosa. I'm sorry, dude, if you're not getting a foul, if you're not getting a foul at some point, even if it's a crappy call by the official, you got to be in contact enough with your defender, especially as a 7-1 guy, that you got to get a foul at some point. He doesn't get a lot of fouls, so that tells me he's not playing physical enough. There's another level of physicality for him he could play. So I just don't. He may go to the NBA just because of his size, and he's pretty fluid on the movement, relatively speaking, to the 7-1 guy. But I don't know. Just not. He's never been the guy that sets a tone physically underneath. It's like, just talk to me about what does Chad Baker Mazzara do? I know he's not a big guy underneath, but he's going to challenge you. He's going to get into your cone of silence there, and he's going to make you uncomfortable. A 7-1 guy should make you uncomfortable at some point, and Kalkbrenner never does that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Chad Baker Mazzara got banged up a lot in this game, and we'll hear Bruce Pearl talk about that in a moment. Did you, as you watched the start of that game, and here's what I was watching at the start of that game, is this team had been challenged by their coaching staff very, very publicly, called out by name in the case of Janai Broome and Chad Baker Mazzara. Did that team come out and play, and we'll hear what Bruce Pearl said about this in one second. I just want to hear what you thought with your eyes. Did that team come out and play like a team that had been challenged the way that they were challenged?
Yeah, I'll speak one guy particularly, Dylan Cardwell. He was a guy that, and I know he only had 6 points and 4 rebounds, but I thought he played really good defensively. And he was a guy who was outspoken, challenging his teammates. I've told them that I want them to play pissed off, was his quote to Taylor in Lexington. And he came out and had a good game. I've already mentioned Chad Baker Mazzara. And then the guards, Pettiford and the guards had not been shooting the ball well. And they came out and did what they had to do. So, as I said, I thought this was the most Auburn's looked like its number 1 overall seed self since they wrapped up the SEC at Rupp Arena.
All right, let's hear what Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl had to say about those things. As we mentioned, this team got called out very, very publicly about their performance against Alabama State. An embarrassing performance, Stephen Pearl said in the postgame on the Auburn Sports Network. Not up to their level is what Bruce Pearl basically said about Auburn's 20-point win over Alabama State in round 1. So here is the Auburn coach answering the question I just asked Dunaway. You challenged this team. Did you see the results of that challenge right away? Here's Bruce Pearl.
Very proud of my team. We played Auburn basketball. We played like the number 1 team in the country. We acted like the number 1 team in the country. We prepared like the number 1 team in the country. We talked a little bit about game 1 and not giving the kind of effort and energy that was required, and not really trusting one another, sharing it, and the sacrifices that need to be made. Tonight, we put all that behind us, and the guys did a phenomenal job on both ends of the floor.
Phenomenal job on both ends of the floor, but what about the specific players? Because there were some players called out. So Bruce Pearl starts to go player by player on what he saw from his Auburn team and the 12-point win over Creighton. Here's the Auburn coach on Denver Jones, Tahaad Pettiford, and Janai Broome, who by name was called out by this Auburn staff.
But this guy's sitting right there in the middle, Denver Jones. I've been telling everybody he's one of the best defensive guards in all of college basketball, and he proved it tonight with the effort and energy that he put forth, and obviously making it really hard for their best player to get any kind of open looks. And this guy right here to my right is fearless. And seniors on this team trust him, and so does his coach. And that guy down to the other end, you continue to see night after night while he's the National College Player of the Year, in my opinion. So it's all about these guys right here.
For those listening and not watching, Tahaad Pettiford was the one that was fearless, and Janai Broome, of course, was the one he was talking about, the National Player of the Year. One more before we go back to Dunaway in Cleveland. Bruce Pearl talking about that injury to Chad Baker Mazzara, who had to leave the game several times due to injury against Creighton.
And Chad, obviously he's a $175 soaking wet. And, he's got a bony ass. And so when he lands on the ground, bam, it's wood on bone. And so he probably got a pretty good bruise. Hopefully that's all it is.
When he lands on the ground, Dunaway, pow, it's wood on bone is what he said about Auburn's Chad Baker-Mazara. And there were a couple times he caught a knee to the ribs. He landed at midcourt there and had to limp out of the game, but, was able to return for Auburn and obviously is going to be fine moving forward. I'm sure he's sore, but should be fine moving forward for the Tigers.
Yeah, I will tell you, as a member of the BA club, the Bony Ass Club, the No Bud Club, if you fall wrong, there's not a lot of cushion back there. There's no safety net back there, and it can be bone on ass right there, or wood on bone, whatever it ends up being. Cut that for trash.
Wow, Tyler!
I think that's something different.
Did you mark that one, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
See, that's 31 and a half minutes into the stream.
Mark that one, yeah.
I just want to say that it can be painful. The replay obviously showed that it was a knee almost to the hip or the kidney area, and he was in instant pain right there. And you could see the emotions because there were moments it looked like he may not be coming back. He had towel on head, in tears, and you just thought to yourself, in his head, he's starting to wonder, was that possibly my last possession this year for the orange and blue? But he came back and was very strong, and with a little rest and now getting ready for Friday's game in Atlanta, he should be good to go. And he's listen, I know at times it can be a love-hate relationship, and maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there's never any hate from the Auburn fans on him, but you don't win the national championship, in my opinion, without a positive, good Chad Baker-Mazara. Your best chance of winning it all is for that guy to be out there and being disruptive.
All right, to look ahead at the point spreads in just 1 second, but I want to remind you about our friends at the Talladega Super Speedway. It is that time of year, the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Super Speedway, ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the track, you got to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles, nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every single turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25th through 27th. Get your tickets now, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, and go see the baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Super Speedway. All right, Dunaway, let's look ahead at some of these MyBookie point spreads. We've talked about Alabama and Auburn advancing. There are 7 teams in the SEC that are in the Sweet 16. We'll discuss that in the next segment, but we'll just quickly hit the Alabama and Auburn point spreads. Let's start with Auburn. We were just talking about them. They will play late Friday, 8:35 Central Time start. I know when you see 8:35, you're like, oh, that's the Eastern Time start. Oh, no, my friend, that's the Central Time start Friday night. At least it's a Friday. 8:35 start time in Atlanta. Auburn an 8-point favorite, total of 152.5 over the Michigan Wolverines, who have advanced to 2 pretty good games. Michigan has been a fun team to watch in this tournament. Auburn an 8-point favorite, first blush on that one. It's a pretty big number in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think anything that's over 5.5 is usually that becomes a point spread game, and you can almost say the team that's favored is going to win the game. Now you're betting against the spread. So I feel like that's an Auburn dub, and they will advance on. Now you're deciding on whether you think Michigan can play inside the number there. Michigan has 2 bigs that one of them played at Yale last year, so that'll be a big storyline, and one of them led Florida Atlantic to the Final Four. They are good inside. Trey Donaldson can be explosive at times, so he'll probably draw Denver Jones. I don't want to coach it up like Stephen Pearl will do as the defensive prime minister of Auburn, but I would bet Pinky that Denver Jones is on Trey Donaldson, and then another familiar name in Damari Burnett, former guest on our show when he was at Alabama. He's an elite defender. I would imagine Damari will draw Miles Kelly to try to prevent Miles from getting hot from three-point land. And those will be the matchups to watch. Can Broome and Cardwell handle the 2 bigs underneath? And what can Denver do with Donaldson? And what can Burnett do with Miles Kelly? And that'll be the matchup. And I like Auburn in all those scenarios there.
Alabama at mybookie.ag, a 4.5-point favorite over BYU. The story here is the total. The total is 175, which is one of the biggest we've seen all season. And by 20 points, by 20 points, the biggest total in the Sweet 16. There's not another game where the point total is within 20 points or more, or under 20 points close to this game. That was a horrible way of saying that. But by 20 points, the biggest total you'll see in the Sweet 16.
Fireworks in this game, so much so that the folks at CBS and Turner made this the early game in Newark, which surprised me with the Eastern time zone, East Coast not having Duke in that window there. But you get the huge Duke crowd that'll be there in New Jersey, and it'll be Duke blue in the stands. They will own the crowd there. You get them into the arena early, probably cheering for BYU. But this will be a much more comfortable game in preparation for Alabama, because this is where Mark Pope was before he came to Kentucky, and they still play that system. So this is the Kentucky system.
Kentucky Light. It's Kentucky Light.
It's Kentucky Light. But this team, if you've ever watched them late night in the Big 12, they shoot the ball at times so dangerously good that if they have a great shooting night, Alabama in a different way will have to have an elite defensive night and an elite rebounding night. But at least in preparation-wise, Alabama will be more comfortable in this game because this is their style of play. It is Mark Pope's style of play. It is something they played 3 times already and beating Kentucky 3 times. So the preparation for Alabama for this one will be comfortable. Doesn't mean they'll win it just by looking at the point spread. It'll be a challenging game for Alabama, but I do like the fact that it's something Alabama will be a lot more familiar with.
All right, let's talk SEC when we come back. All those point spreads I just gave you right there at mybookie.ag. We'll look at the other 5. We only looked at 2 of the 7 SEC teams. We'll look at the other 5 that advanced to the Sweet 16. It's incredible to say. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND is where you sign on right now. Use that sign-on bonus with code NEXTROUND, and you're going to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, 50% up to $1,000, and a $10 casino chip, all by using code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag. The tournament continues. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. More of the Next Round presented by Bud Light after this.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR is Talladega Super Speedway, and it's ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the Talladega Super Speedway, you have to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every single turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25th through 27th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Don't miss the action. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
What a great time of year to be online with our friends at mybookie.ag, mybookie.ag, where right now you get a major current sign-up bonus, a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip when using the code NEXTROUND. That's code NEXTROUND. We're talking about all the madness of March, the NBA playoff race, the start of Major League Baseball, and it's all for you right now online when using the code NEXTROUND. Go sign up today, mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
All right, we continue on the next round. A couple questions here on the chat room, mybookie.ag chat room. I was going to go back because this explains a lot of what we're doing right now. John asked, will Alabama come back to Tuscaloosa, or are they going straight to New Jersey? Dunaway, you've got the answer to that question. You'll be living that same life.
Yeah, they played the Thursday. The tournament got screwed up years ago. I apologize if I sneeze. The tournament got screwed up a few years ago when we started doing these pods, and you had different regionals playing at the same site and going in different places. For instance, Michigan State played here yesterday. They're in the Auburn region. Meanwhile, Alabama's in the Duke region, but they were both playing here in Cleveland. Same all over the place. It's just messed up, right? Remember last year, Auburn was in Spokane with Alabama. Alabama was in the West. Auburn was in the East.
Yep.
And boom, they were going in different directions, but it was in Spokane. It screwed the whole tournament up. But here you are. Alabama is going to Newark. Michigan State's going to Atlanta. So Alabama plays on Thursday. Michigan State played last night too. They don't play until Friday. So for Alabama, the choice was fly out this morning at 9 a.m. back to Birmingham, where you would turn around and get on a plane Tuesday morning and fly back to Newark. Same story for me if I did that. So Alabama left at 9 a.m. this morning, and they are now they should be in Newark already. It's just 6 hours away. So they've chartered out of here, and they are arriving in New Jersey as we speak. And they'll be staying at a hotel about 25 minutes away from in Teaneck, New Jersey. And that's where they will practice and do their work. And they'll be using the facilities of the Seton Hall program there. And then they'll be moving over and practicing at the arena. But that's what they'll be doing. So they're there as we speak this afternoon.
And you're in Cleveland. You'll be hopping a plane after the show, headed to New York as well. You don't even get to come back and enjoy this weather for a day. So
I don't. It should be noted that when you say Newark, you probably should say Newark.
Newark.
A little more. Yeah, because it sounded like you said New York, which sounds a lot more fun.
It's very close. You get there from Newark to New York. Yes, you could get from one to the other pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, but it is not New York. It's not like I'm going to the big city of dreams. I'm going to the other side of the river, and I just thoughts and prayers is all I'm asking. Just
seems
thoughts
like
and prayers.
It just really does. I know Seton Hall is the host here, and it just seems like a weird place for the NCAA tournament to me. I've talked to people. I think it was Coach Bill Jones, the legendary Jacksonville State coach. He goes to every Final Four, and one time I was just asking about some of the sites, and he said the worst one was the year they did it in the Meadowlands in New York. And I think
technically, what you said, New York again. The Meadowlands was where?
It's in New Jersey. Yeah, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And he's like, you went there and you had no clue the Final Four was in town. He's like, every other place you go, the Final Four takes the town over, and you've got all the spirit and the pageantry or what, I don't know the words you want to throw out there, but he was like, you didn't even know the Final Four was in town in the Meadowlands. And he was like, that was the worst one I've ever been to. And you're going to probably experience the same thing, though with Duke in town. Duke's very big in New Jersey. A lot of Jersey kids go to Duke, so maybe it'll feel a little bit different. But I'm gonna suggest you're not gonna run into a whole lot of people wearing team gear until you get actually to the Prudential Center on Thursday night.
Yeah, listen, I have my own demons in my head I'm worried about, and I'll discuss those 1 week from today if I'm back on the show 1 week from today, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
But I have my own searches.
I have my own concerns.
EG, by the way, down at Auburn Pro Day today. She'll have some reaction to that at Next Round Live. Lance is on vacation. What?
It's like you're doing the Mickey Mouse roll call at the beginning. We're all, hi, I'm Jim. I'm in Cleveland. EG's in Auburn. LT's on vacation, spring break.
Well, I mean, do I address
check and roll.
The chat room?
Check and roll.
The chat room always asks where everybody is. They want to know everybody's location every single day. So I'm trying to help them.
It's got to our family, man. Everyone wants to know where they are.
Lance on vacation this week on spring break. My last day is tomorrow. I'll be on vacation the rest of the week. Dunaway on his way to Newark, New Jersey, for the remainder of the NCAA tournament. People are warning you. Jay Bake says, careful on them subways, Dunaway. You will not touch a subway while you're out there. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I know you too well.
I am going into the city Tuesday night. Will be my only time to go into. Is that what we say when we're in New Jersey?
Yeah, you're going into the city?
I am going into the city only because the great Tom Stipe and the Crimson Tide Sports Network radio crew. He does the U.S. Open every year. He's familiar with New York. There's a elite Italian restaurant that he tells me is steep price-wise, and he wanted to check if it was okay if he could include me in the reservation, but he warned me about the pricing, and we are going into the city on Tuesday night, and that's my free night to go into the city, and I will do that. I told him I am a country bumpkin.
Right.
Y'all
got spaghetti?
I like New York City in big groups. I don't like it by myself, but I will go into the city and then venture back out to Jersey, and then I will work and keep my head down and try to go unnoticed.
So there you go. That's where everybody is. I think I've covered it. Have I covered everybody? I've covered everybody.
Yeah.
I think
Taylor made it back.
Little T made it back from Lexington. She's on her way to Atlanta later this week with Auburn in the Sweet 16. So all that coverage right there at Next Round Live on social media, at Next Round Live, courtesy of our friends at Culver's. We appreciate them sponsoring that. And also the NCAA Women's Tournament here in Birmingham. More on that in just a little bit. Before we get to all the SEC teams, a reminder when it came time to redo the Master Bath in the Brown House, there was one person that we selected, and I am so glad we did. My wife scoured the internet looking for the right person. She found Brad Bell, A+, and you can see more from Brad at alabamabathremodels.com. That is alabamabathremodels.com. 205-422-1758 is Brad's number. That's 205-422-1758. Check Brad Bell and let him come out and quote your job. I'm going to tell you, you will be happy that is who you've gone with. Brad does tremendous work, and you can always trust his crews. They were on time. They were clean. They walked us through everything they had done at the end of each day to make sure we were pleased with it, and I cannot tell you how happy we were. See more before and afters, and reach out to Brad at alabamabathremodels.com or give him a call, 205-422-1758, 205-422-1758, or alabamabathremodels.com. We've got more basketball coming up over the weekend. We're about to talk about all those games, but a great way to free up some time for you to watch the games. Send the ladies in your life to Woodhouse Day Spa. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. My wife and I have both used Woodhouse Spas recently. They are a tremendous organization. Great massage for both of us. Just friendly, calm environment. So nice when you walk in. Woodhouse Spas. It is a great idea for graduation gifts. You've got anniversary season coming up, birthdays. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. They're in the Summit. Reach out to them, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. The only way I know to tackle this with all the SEC to make sure we get everybody done away is just to go into seating order. So we'll start with the Florida Gators. Boy, they had to fight for it yesterday. The Florida Gators did. But Dan Hurley and that UConn championship DNA dies hard. I was worried about Florida. I mean, late in this game, I was worried about the Florida Gators. But you got to give Creighton and those Gators credit for the way they played in that from the under 4 to the end of the game. They were championship-level basketball, not UConn.
Yeah, and I think the true cream rose to the top at the end. So hats off to Walter Clayton Jr., who I think right now is playing the best basketball in the country. He's playing better than Janai Broome is right now. He's playing, and he's healthier than Cooper Flagg is right now. And they needed every ounce of his greatness to win that game. UConn was well coached. Dan Hurley seems to be a miserable human being, but a fantastic coach. And it was a really entertaining, competitive game. That Arizona-Oregon game was good last night. That was competitive. That Maryland-Colorado State game was good. But that UConn-Florida game may have been the best game of the tournament for me so far. It was a great watch from beginning to end, and that was because UConn, like you said, they died like a champion. They fought to the end. They fought to the death.
They absolutely did, and it was very, very, very impressive. And, I mean, just Creighton is such a tremendous player, man. That guy, his championship pedigree is incredible. The way he plays is incredible. I thought they were going to be a tough out. They were a tough out definitely against UConn. And, I mean, you got to give UConn credit for the way they played down the stretch. We talked about those name brand 8 seeds, boy. They were tough, man. And they were one of them, those name brand teams of the 8-9.
Yeah, they absolutely were. And they had won 13 straight tournament games. Think about that. 13 straight tournament games. And then they finally lose this one. And I don't know if we're going to talk about it right now, if we're going to stick to the SEC, but Dan Hurley leaving the court. Just a miserable showing there. I mean, you've won 13 straight, 2 national championships. Even if you don't think the calls went your way, I think you probably should just walk off and suck one up.
We can't play what he said.
Well, you can't unless you beep it alive.
But I mean, did he have a legitimate complaint?
Oh, I think in basketball, Brown, you can always complain about the officiating, right? I mean, I bumped into a St. Mary's person at the casino last night, and he seemed to think Alabama got all the calls. Imagine that. And I was like, hey, it happens. And if you think that, you think that. A fan base only sees calls. And so I think Hurley, probably thinks they got jobbed in some places. I would imagine Todd Golden at some point thought UConn was getting all the calls, especially – in the first half, in the first part of the second half. I thought every call was going UConn's way. They were letting them fall all over the bigs down low. They were pushing Creighton around. You don't hear Dan Hurley walking off, warning Baylor to watch out. They're going to let you play. They're going to let you push around the superstar. He was just dropping the F-bombs left and right, hoping Baylor didn't get screwed by the officials. And that
guy's so unlikable. He is so unlikable, though.
He is, and I know that you've won 13 straight, and you want to be competitive. And listen, I like buttholes. I am one, and I like them. I think if you're a competitive guy, there's a little bit of butthole in you probably. I just at some point you just got to say, man, we won 13 straight and 2 national championships, and me walking off the court, cussing and warning the next team not to get screwed by the officials is not the way I want to be. The end of a 13 NCAA tournament win streak and back-to-back national championships. I don't want that to be the talking point.
Yeah, well, it is. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately for him, I don't know. It is. I think he embraces this, so I think he loves it. Actually, I think he embraces being this guy. I guess it's who it really is. I mean, in a sense, you should just say, at least he's being who he really is, right?
Yeah. Well, I think he grew up as a kid at the end of Bobby Knight, right? And his family is in coaching, and I would imagine that there was a period of time that people really admired Bobby Knight because he was a disciplinarian. He coached Team USA a lot. He argued officials. He got ejected. He was, outlandish to the media. And I think coaches looked at him at that generation and said, okay, if I'm going to be a good coach and coach hard, that's the way I have to act. And I think that's the school Dan Hurley comes from. And I think he's okay being this generation's Bobby Knight.
All right, let's move on. Tennessee, 2 seed, advances. The Vols look good. Now we've got that great matchup. We've seen it twice this year, Tennessee and Kentucky. Kentucky is 2-0 in this matchup. And part of me says it's going to be impossible to beat the same team 3 times in a year, especially a quality team like Tennessee. But there's something Kentucky has in this rivalry that has given Tennessee a little bit of trouble this year.
Yeah, and it's mind-boggling to me that they've been able to do that in both of the games.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Kentucky on paper should match up well with Tennessee if Alabama can't match up well with Tennessee. Now, I thought Alabama outplayed them in a very competitive game in Knoxville, but Kentucky, as I've said, sort of does it the way Alabama likes to do it, and they've beaten Tennessee twice now. These two programs have played each other, Brownie, 241 times since 1910 when they played their first basketball game. It's the most played game in the SEC, I believe. 241 times they have played, and they've never played in the NCAA tournament. And now that changes here. So that's pretty crazy.
I would agree. I mean, that's you've thrown out some. I mean, we've got some wild numbers today. That one, and the first time in 40 years that Alabama and Auburn have both been in the Sweet 16 at the same time. Those are pretty wild. The winner of that game potentially gets Houston, and everybody looks forward to either that fast-paced Kentucky style against Houston's defense, which those styles have had some success against Houston, or those two dominating defenses butting heads against one another. I mean, that is either one of those would be a fascinating matchup if indeed Houston even advances. They were in deep trouble late in that game against Gonzaga. Looked like they'd never seen a press in their life against Gonzaga.
Yeah, that Houston team can win the national championship, but I know they score the ball better, but I don't think they're quite as good as the Houston team from 2 years ago.
Right.
That I think eliminated Auburn and Birmingham. So we'll see what happens in that region. But Tennessee and Kentucky, 2 of the 7 SEC teams still alive, and it's a shame. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. You're guaranteed at least one SEC team in the Elite 8, but you're also guaranteed one loss in the Elite 8. So in the Sweet 16. I sort of wish the 7 was spread out in 7 different games.
Yeah.
So there was at least an opportunity that we could have 7 of the 8 Elite 8 teams there. That would be fantastic. But we are guaranteed at least one SEC team in the Elite 8.
Let's talk about Ole Miss. Here's a team that just has kind of snuck under the radar. Nobody's talking about Ole Miss, but they beat North Carolina. They were underdogs in that game. As North Carolina, after everybody saw them in Dayton, they're like, oh, wait a minute, a different North Carolina team. Then they beat Iowa State, really good team that was kind of a sneaky pick for a lot of people. Now they get Tom Izzo at Michigan State. Boy, Chris Beard and Ole Miss could play spoiler. This is, when we talked about Chris Beard taking the Ole Miss job, best coach they've ever had, potentially in college basketball, or on the basketball side for them. This is kind of what you saw out of Chris Beard, right? This is what you were hoping you would get at Ole Miss. He's done it at Texas Tech. He was doing it at Texas. And now here he is already in the Sweet 16 at Ole Miss.
Yeah, and as I said a couple of weeks ago, only the 10th time in the program's history they've ever been to the NCAA tournament. And now he has them in the Sweet 16. And if they can somehow beat Michigan State, who looked beatable last night for most of that game with New Mexico, they looked beatable. And Ole Miss could get them. And if they do that, that would set up a third meeting with Auburn. And truthfully, they've had no answer for Auburn. So if you're an Auburn fan, I think you're hotty-toddy all day long on Friday, hoping the Rebs can get there. Because not that I don't think Auburn can run through the Corn family tree and beat both Michigan and Michigan State to get to the Final Four. But Ole Miss is the known villain out there. You know what they've got, and they don't match up with Auburn. I think Ole Miss can beat Michigan State. I think I have Michigan State winning the game in our bracket, but for Ole Miss to get here in such a quick time for Chris Beard, an amazing accomplishment, and it just adds a team like Ole Miss being here just adds to the SEC legacy this season that they've gotten this far.
One more team to talk about, and it might be the Cinderella of the tournament, believe it or not. Lance's Locks will be up. They've been up throughout the entire weekend, courtesy of our friends at Hemp Hill Services, lanceslock.com to get on the NCAA tournament package. Still time left for that as we advance to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. Always time to get on board with Hemp Hill Services. 229-2090 is the phone number, 229-2090. The website is hemphillservices.com. If it's not running right, flowing right, or draining right, Hemp Hill Services, the name Birmingham has trusted for decades, the name you could trust as well. Hemp Hill Services, 205-229-2090. That is Hemp Hill Services, and they bring you the lock each day at lanceslock.com. We don't have any Cinderellas in this NCAA tournament. For whatever reason, it hasn't really worked out. Colorado State was the closest, I guess, as a 12 seed. They lost to Maryland last night. More on that in a moment. We don't have any Cinderellas here. But here's Arkansas, and what they've done is Cinderella-like for John Calipari to beat Bill Self in Kansas, and what I thought was going to be everybody's darling, St. John's and Rick Pitino. Boy, what an impressive job by Cal and the Hogs so far.
Well, I mean, if you're Kansas and if you're St. John, you're probably saying, wait a second, how is Arkansas a 10 seed? Well, you had to spread the SEC teams out, right? You couldn't put them all 6 seeds or better. So you had to spread the SEC teams out. So you get an Arkansas team as a 10 seed that knocks off a 7 and then knocks off a 2. And that's how they get to the Sweet 16. But you've got 3 former Kentucky players, I believe, that was there with Calipari.
Right.
You have a legendary Hall of Fame coach. And then you've got Boogie Flan, who is this big recruit who hasn't played since the flip of the calendar in the new year. And now all of a sudden he plays in this game this weekend. Played in the first one too, but he really played in this game against St. John's and made a difference. So there's an extra piece to the puzzle. And Boogie seems to be fitting in better now than he did before his injury. This team is dangerous coming in against Texas Tech. And I don't think there's anybody that can contend with Florida in that region. It seems like an easy path for Florida. But there is a way I believe Arkansas can get past Texas Tech to get to the Elite Eight. And that just starts with how well Boogie Fland is now in a limited role contributing to this basketball team.
Yeah. They were talking about him playing like 10, 12 minutes a game, and this guy's playing basically starter minutes now.
Yeah.
I mean, and it has made a difference.
Yeah, and think about what John Calipari has done this year. In his first year at Arkansas with a makeshift roster, not only has he gone back to Rupp Arena and won this year, he has made the tournament. He has won 2 games, which is one more than he won in the NCAA tournament in his final 4 years at Kentucky. And he's in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2019. And that's when he was at Kentucky. So there was no tournament in 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. He didn't make it out of the second weekend. And now here he is at Arkansas with just basically the land of misfit toy roster. And he's in the Sweet 16. Great job by this Arkansas team.
Yeah, I mean, but Calipari's a guy that's gotten the reputation of just go recruit a bunch of studs, inflate the basketballs, and roll them out on the court. And I think this weekend he has shown this before. So anybody that still says that, I think, is just, I don't know. I mean, you're just being stubborn or you're just playing a part or whatever. He showed it again this weekend. He is far more than just rolling out the balls and letting guys play.
Yeah. You media people, all you want to do is talk about other coaches. You won't give BP, you won't give Nate, you won't give Cal. It's all about recruiting or systems. You don't give them credit for being good X's and O's coaches. You got to speak with an accent from up north if you're going to be a good basketball coach. With all you media people, right?
Yeah. Calipari kind of does. He's got a little north in him.
Yeah, I lost it at the end.
These games have been hard choices to make when you're picking the winners. The easy choice to make, though, is our friends at Bojangles. The bite-sized hand-breaded chicken, crispy, fried to perfection, make you perfect for sharing, snacking, or when you're on the go, just don't call it a nugget. The only hard part is choosing from the 6 dipping sauces. A sauce for every kind of craving, from the creamy house-made ranch to the sweet, spicy peach honey pepper sauce. All depends on what kind of mood you're in. Head to your nearest Bojangles for lunch or dinner today. Discover the dippable, shareable, craveable Bo Bites. It's Bo time. This wasn't just the SEC tournament in Nashville. There's more to talk about. We will do that. Tournament all day today. Dan Wetzel, now of ESPN, is going to join us at 11 to talk more about it. Dunaway remains in Cleveland. He's about to head over to Newark. We will discuss everything going on in the NCAA tournament as we continue. It is the next round, Sweet 16 edition, as 7 SEC teams have advanced. Next round presented by Bud Light for the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studio and Cleveland, Ohio. The next round returns after this.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter @ScottForresterTV.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older, must be present to win.
Start with the most exciting game on hardwood. Add the best ballers in the country, a seasoned culminating tourney, the smell of popcorn in the air, and hundreds of your closest friends absolutely losing it along with you. That's Fandom U. It's all part of the curriculum. The NCAA Division I Women's Sweet 16 and Elite 8, March 28th through the 31st in Birmingham. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/WBB tickets. Class dismissed.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Celebrate the best time of year, tournament time, with MyBookie.ag. Sign up right now with code NEXTROUND and receive a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. Tournament time is here, so enjoy it even more by playing along at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND on your initial deposit for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. Don't get caught by the buzzer. Sign up now at MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway is ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to this track, you've got to come check it out. 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Superspeedway. It's April 25th through the 27th, and you can get your tickets right now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. That's TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, we enter hour number 2. SEC has got 7 teams in the Sweet 16. Alabama and Auburn in the Sweet 16 together for the first time in 40 years. It is going to be a fun Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Dunaway counting all 7 of them. You know, the percentages, I don't have the percentages in front of me, Dunaway, but they've grown each round. Like the percentage of teams the SEC had in the round of 64, then the round of 32, and now the round of 16. That percentage continues to increase, and I don't think it's likely. Well, I mean, the percentage could increase. Well, this is a 4 downs question coming up later on, so I'm not. Let's don't answer it here. But the number of teams in the Elite Eight from the SEC could be freaking remarkable. Yeah. 4 downs question.
Yeah, I know what just happened. I know what just happened because I've sometimes I do 4 downs on the fly,
right?
And it just dawned on you that you've got to have 4 questions here in a second to do 4 downs, and you don't have all 4 of them yet. And it just dawned on you right then that was hey, this is going to be a good 4 downs question. Let me just scribble this one down and just save it. I've done that in 15 years of the show. I bet I've done that 100 times. I saw that light go off and you're like, I'm going to hold this one. This will be good. I can bring it back in a little bit. Did that just happen? Am I right?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. We're among friends here. We're among friends here. The audience appreciates. They know we're not playing here like we're professional broadcasters. They want to know what goes through our heads, and that's a little behind the curtain. That's what goes on.
Yeah, maybe so. We have to find out on 4 downs. We'll see if that makes the cut. I got so many 4 downs questions. I don't know if that one actually makes the cut. I just didn't want to do that.
No, I'll just tell you right now, as you were talking about that, you opened up celebrity birthdays to see if there were any celebrity birthdays that interest you.
I may have or I may not have.
And you're going to go over them as I tell people about our friends at Weta Wellness. You're going to look at celebrities' birthdays while I talk about the fact that Leslie and her board-certified team can actually take care of you and help you lose weight. Now, I'm about to spend, 5 days in Cleveland, and now God knows how long in Newark, New Jersey. So Leslie's going to have to work to get me back down to 173 where I was when I left. But truthfully, I wanted to gain 4 pounds on this trip anyway. And so far, Alabama's played well enough for me to gain 4 pounds on this trip. You can jumpstart your weight loss with the folks at Weta Wellness first by going to their website at planforme.com. It is Weta Wellness. They have no contracts. They have no sign-up fees, and they can help you in a variety of different ways. Injection therapies, which have become very popular to jumpstart weight loss. You can do that. They've got meal replacements. I eat protein bars from them that sort of tide me over until I get to lunch or dinner. So a protein bar before the show, a protein bar in the middle of the show, and then it's a nice lunch, a protein bar in the early afternoon, and then one at night if I need it after dinner. But rarely do I ever get to that 4th protein bar. That's my plan. Every plan's different. No cookie cutter plan. It all starts with a free consultation. Just go to Weta Wellness. The website is planforme.com, Weta Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
Thank you, Jim Dunaway. We'll have 4 downs coming up in just a little bit.
Good day of celebrity birthdays.
Yeah,
what I just saw.
We'll see. You have to stay tuned, Jim. We want him to stay tuned and find out.
I'll tell you another little secret I do sometimes.
What's
I will
that?
walk occasionally. If you guys are on vacation, I will walk back and I will be like, hey, Forster, I don't know. You're busy. Can you or Tyler do 4 downs for me today?
Tyler does them every Thursday.
Sometimes I'll ask EG. I'm like, hey, EG, can you help me out? Can you do 4 downs and knock those out for me today? So sometimes just, pass that ball off. Pretend you're a distributor. Pretend you're a point guard. Pretend you're Mark Sears when the ball's not dropping. And occasionally dish that thing off and let somebody else score those 4 downs today.
Yeah, maybe so. Tyler, do you want to do 4 downs today?
I'd have to come up with
some.
No,
I've already got Tyler do them on Thursday. Hey, also, Dunaway, real quick before we move on, the coverage brought to you in part from Cleveland and in Lexington and now soon Newark and Atlanta by the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. It's coming to Birmingham this week, and people could still get tickets for the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight on the ladies' side here in Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely they can, Brownie. And I want to tell everybody just how important this is if you're an Auburn or Alabama fan, men's basketball fan, because our friends at Knight Eady are the one that brings this tournament to Birmingham. They put this thing on. The SEC puts this thing on in Birmingham. So if you support this event, it continues the reputation of Birmingham being a great NCAA tournament host site. And that means that not only will we get more women's events in the future, like this one, and this is the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, it will also help us continue to get first round, second round NCAA tournament games, which will only help the Nate Oatses, the Bruce Pearls, the Andy Kennedys, the Bucky McMillans of the world as well. So let's support this event. All you have to do, and help me on this website, Brent, I think it's ncaa.com/WBB tickets.
That's it.
ncaa.com/WBB tickets. It's coming up. I believe it's March 28th through the 31st at Legacy Arena. We'll send a couple of teams to the Final Four from this site. So let's go support that event, and it will help us bring the tournament, both the women's and the men, for years to come to Birmingham. And that's all right now at ncaa.com/WBBtickets.com.
All right, so let's talk about the rest of the tournament that we saw. We focused a lot, obviously, on the Southeastern Conference, and all this intersects. It's impossible to talk about this without talking about the Southeastern Conference. Let's talk about this Maryland-Colorado State game last night. Controversial ending to this game. And Scott tells me we got good sound on this, so we'll do the sound.
Traveling.
Number 16 is the one Scott said is good. Is that right, Tyler? We'll do that in a second. So Colorado State up late. We really haven't had a ton of buzzer beaters. So I think everybody was watching this thinking, uh-oh, here comes the buzzer beater. And then you get what Maryland did, and the kid basically picks the ball up outside the free throw stripe, makes a shot on the baseline. He's got his back to the camera, so it's hard to see what's going on with the ball. But I think I counted 4 steps. Am I crazy that it's 4 steps? Am I over-exaggerating that?
Well, I mean, I think I think 2 is traveling. So let's just meet in the middle and say he had 3 steps.
Yeah.
If you're a Colorado State fan, now I'm, the viewer, I was going crazy. I was going crazy, by the way, when Colorado State hit the shot. I was like, okay, that's not technically a buzzer beater, but that's good enough. That's good enough. That's a great winning shot by Colorado State. But then for Derek Queen to do what he did there, make the move, and he wanted it in the huddle, and that adds to it that he wanted the basketball. He's their big guy. He's the reason why Maryland's had this resurgence this year. And the Crab Five, one of the great nicknames, not the Fab Five, the Crab Five, survived in advance. But man, if you're a Colorado State Ram fan or anybody who had Colorado State to advancing in their bracket, that was give him a suitcase because he was traveling.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to go far enough back in the chat for this, but the earlier Neil Armstrong took fewer steps than Queen, which is a great line. There were several in the chat, and I wish we were knee deep in Alabama and Auburn. We've not gotten to this game yet, and I can't go that far back in the chat. And it's moving.
Yeah. Well, they're the Crab Five, and he crab walked to get the shot off, and if the old Just for Feet was your 13th pair for free, you could have said that he was a few steps away from getting a free pair of sneakers as well from our friends at Just for Feet. So it's that was an old store we used to have back in the 80s in Birmingham. That guy was walking, but he still had to make a tough shot. I mean, the little kiss off the glass. That's what it's there for, the old banking board, and he put it in there.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, the banking board, old Joe Dean reference. He's the only guy I ever heard call it that, was the great Joe Dean, the banking board.
Love him.
I do too. He used to call it that all the time. Let's go to cut 16, Tyler. So Scott has sold me on this one. He goes, you got to hear Maryland, Derek Queen, cut 16. So this is the guy that, he's got the game winner. He gets 2 legally. He takes more than 2. I thought it was 4. You might could tell me it's 3. I don't know. But he and his coach, Kevin Willard, who, by the way, made some news earlier this week by calling out his athletic director on this same podium, by the way, that you're about to see. After the game, here is Derek Queen in Maryland after their last-second win over Colorado State.
What makes Coach Willard someone who basketball players listen to, and what has he meant to you guys in the short time he's been with you?
First, he do pay us the money, and then so we got to listen to him, and we all trust him because he's like a player coach. And then he want nothing but the best for us, and he just he coaches hard. He talked to us other than basketball. He's just always there and just want us to win.
He did pay us the money, and the room of media people, by the way, explodes in laughter. I mean, if nothing shows you how much college athletics has changed, that at the NCAA tournament, a player who had just hit a game-winning shot could sit on the podium and they're like, why do you like your coach? Why do y'all play so hard for him? Well, he did pay us the money, and everybody just laughs, and we make it a cut on our show. Could you imagine him saying that like 10 years ago, what the reaction from that room would have been? And everybody just laughs about it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would have been 60 minutes. Derek Queen uncovered the scandalous dark side of college athletics in America. The coach, well, I like him because he paid us the money.
That's right. Okay.
That started an NCAA investigation into the Maryland program that led us today to the death penalty.
Yeah, I mean, because we got to open and close case at that point. We got the guy sitting on the podium saying he received the money. That was a shot. I had not seen that. Scott was right. That paid off right there to hear him say that. So he hits the game winner. Controversial finish there as Colorado State gets bounced after they had pulled the upset over. Well, actually, it wasn't even a point spread upset, but they won the game over Memphis. Drake was another surprise team as they beat Missouri. Texas Tech beats them. Now we get this Texas Tech-Arkansas matchup. I think this looks like a really, really fun game with the Red Raiders and the Hogs. What is it? Let me go look at my bookie point spread on that real quick. Texas Tech, a 5.5-point favorite, total of 147 in this game.
Yeah, I was going to guess 5.5.
Yep, there you go.
Have you noticed how many NCAA tournament games are minus 5.5?
Yeah, it seems like you're right. It does seem like a lot of you. You mentioned that as the line of demarcation where beyond that, if we're bigger than 5.5, we just start talking about how a team wins a game. If it's less than 5.5, you're like, okay, we may have us a game here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where Alabama was with St. Mary's most of the time. And then I woke up game day morning and it bounced up to 6.5. And I was like, okay, breathe a little easier.
Somebody knows something. Then
I finished breakfast and I looked back and it was back to 5.5. And I was like, dang it, here we go.
Yeah. So Texas Tech and Arkansas, that should be a fun game. Over in the other part of the bracket, Duke has just, 93-49 over Mount St. Mary's, 89-66. This team is either one of the greatest teams we've ever seen and we've slept on them because of their conference, or this team just will not get challenged. I don't know if Arizona can challenge them. They're a big favorite in a game you'll see there in Newark when you get over there, Jim, but Duke's a 9-point favorite over Arizona. I just don't know. I mean, this team is not challenged all year long hardly in the Atlantic Coast Conference. One thing we have learned is, as Denny Green said, again, the ACC is what we thought they were, right? They were what we thought they were. Everybody bows out except Duke in the first round.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You wonder about game stress for Duke. If they get into a stressful situation, how will they handle that? And Cooper Flagg, by the way, is just he's like a race car. If you ever follow NASCAR on a short track, he's still leading the race, but he doesn't have a back fender. His right side door's banged in. He's got duct tape holding on the front part of his right panel because, he caught that finger to the eye and it instantly started to swell up early in that game yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever they played. And he's been battling that ankle that now seems to be no problem. Now he's getting fingers to the eyes. He's falling. He's getting, knee bumps. This is just a guy that is the wear and tear on his body because he is such a focal point of the defensive game plan that you just wonder how he'll hold up against what will be a Arizona team that has a superstar on it. And we saw Caleb Love do it last night. He's a superstar that can absolutely take over a game. That'll be a dangerous out to see Love and Cooper Flagg, two future NBAers.
Bobby in the chat exercising his selective listening. Brown, the greatest team ever because they beat up on a 16-9. Calm down. I said they're either the greatest team ever or they simply remain untested by their competition, and I don't know which one it is. But with that said, there was no other one seed that was as impressive score-wise than Duke. That's just the facts. No other one seed. Auburn had to fight to beat Creighton. They trailed that game at the half. They win by 12. They had a uninspiring 20-point performance over Alabama State. Florida was in the fight of their life against UConn. Houston was in the fight of their life against Gonzaga. The fact is, Duke has blown out two teams. They're the only team in the tournament to have done this. It could still be level of competition. I don't know. We'll find out at some point. If they continue to do this through the tournament, we'll have to look back and say, we should have said this is the greatest team we've ever seen. I don't think it is. I think they're just untested, but it is kind of hard to say that after they've beaten the way the 8-9s were in this tournament, Jim. The fact that they beat a 9, 89-66 yesterday, that was an extremely impressive win.
I think they're beatable. I think Duke is beatable, and I hope Alabama survives BYU and gets a shot at Duke. That could change the perspective, the perception of this Alabama team if they were the ones to knock off Duke. So I hope they get that chance in the Elite Eight. The betting odds, though, are now heavily in favor of Duke to be national champions. They're at plus 225 this morning. May have changed, but plus 225 this morning. Florida is next at plus 350. Then Houston at plus 500. Auburn now fourth to win the national championship at plus 550. And then Alabama is fifth. And listen to this gap from 550 to plus 1,500. So in a very chalky NCAA tournament so far, the betting world now says there are 4 teams in real contention for the national championship. They're all the ones, and then next is Alabama at plus 1,500.
Yeah, at mybookie.ag, Alabama and Tennessee have flipped a little bit, but they're essentially tied. Tennessee's plus 1575, so just a shade under 16-1, and Alabama is at 16-1. So they're essentially the same thing. But to your point, Duke about 2.5-1, Florida about 3.5-1, Houston about 4.5-1, and Auburn about 4.5-1. Houston and Auburn are on the same line, plus 470 at mybookie.ag. So, yeah, you're right. The 1 seeds are the prohibitive favorites right now, but Duke is the lead in that group, and it matches what I've seen with my own eyes. Let me tell them about mybookie.ag real quick. Right now, you could play those that we just mentioned or any of the point spreads. Alabama, a 4.5-point favorite over BYU. Auburn, an 8-point favorite over Michigan. The other SEC teams, we'll get all these in a little bit. Florida, a 6.5-point favorite over Maryland. Texas Tech, a 5.5-point favorite over Arkansas. Tennessee, a 4.5-point favorite over Kentucky. Michigan State, a 3-point favorite over Ole Miss. MyBookie.ag, code next round to play those. Code next round, when you sign up, gets you a sign-on bonus of 50% up to $1,000. And also a $10 casino chip. That's all when you use code next round at mybookie.ag. Code next round at mybookie.ag. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Mybookie.ag, code next round there at mybookie.ag. That matches my eyes, Jim. Duke has looked the best. Could be level of competition. We'll find out with Arizona and either BYU or Alabama. Could be level of competition. I don't know, but they are the one team that has been the most dominant thus far in this tournament. I mentioned that Houston-Gonzaga game. Don't know how much of that you got to see. Houston was, they had Gonzaga at arm's length. Mark Few goes to a press, and it's like Houston had never been pressed in their life. They couldn't get the ball inbounded. Took them forever to get it across midcourt. They would get across midcourt. They would stop, that's like cardinal sin, right? Never stop right across midcourt when you're seeing pressure because now you've added a third defender or a second defender. Like Houston was awful against the press, and it almost cost them the game.
Yeah, that's right. You don't panic when you cross the midcourt line, and you're basically trapping yourself at that point. But that Gonzaga team, we give UConn credit for going out like a champion. You got to give that to Gonzaga too. They've been so good. They had tied the record for 9 straight NCAA tournaments of going to at least the Sweet 16 and getting to the second weekend. They had tied North Carolina and Duke, who had done it before. Nobody had ever gone, think about this. I mean, and just put this in perspective that Alabama's on a 3-year run. But nobody in the history of the NCAA tournament has made it to the second weekend 10 straight years. And Gonzaga was trying to do that, to be the first team ever to go to the Sweet 16 or the second weekend of the tournament since we expanded 10 straight times. And they couldn't do that. So that Gonzaga team, like UConn, was a tough out. And hats off to Houston for getting the job done. It's a really good Houston team. I don't think they have national championship in them. I don't think so.
Well, they're my pick. I certainly hope they do.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I picked Houston to win it all. They're going to play Purdue. That's a big stadium, so I'm not really worried about road game, but that will be a Purdue crowd there in Indianapolis. Kind of weird as the one that I've got to go to Purdue's backyard and play them as the 4. You would have thought they would have spread that out a little bit better. Any of the other 4s, Maryland even, if it were swapped, where Florida's playing Purdue out in San Francisco and Maryland is there, that would be better. Kind of weird they did that to Houston.
Does that not seem to be happening only to Kelvin Sampson? Because he was the one who had to come here and play Auburn in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he caught a break in that, and Iowa was really the one that got punished there because they were in the separate session from Alabama. So the Alabama fans sold their tickets to the Auburn fans. Iowa played in an 8-9 game. It may as well have been in Neville Arena. That was a road game for Iowa. Houston caught a small break in that Alabama fans had held their tickets for that session to go see Maryland. So once, Auburn kept it close, once Houston started to pull away, the Alabama fans got behind Houston too. So it kind of became a home atmosphere. You will not get that in Indianapolis. So your teams are Tennessee, Kentucky. I say that. Tennessee and Kentucky, that's an easy drive to Indy. Kentucky fans take places over. I bet that is Houston, as the 1 seed, will easily be the least represented fan base there.
Yeah, but Brown, I've watched it now for especially the Robert Morris game, and Robert Morris brought a lot of fans here to Cleveland, but the Michigan State had the largest fan base here. And the amount of Michigan State fans that were cheering for Robert Morris, the stadium was all against Alabama.
Oh, that's the way it goes. Yep.
Yeah. So Tennessee and Kentucky will dominate the fan base, and Purdue there. None of them will be cheering for Houston, right? Because whoever wins Kentucky, Tennessee, I don't know which game is first. Because if Houston is second, then that's.
Yeah, Kentucky, Tennessee. That helps a little bit, because if Kentucky, Tennessee were the late game, you'd have all their fans still there. Whoever loses, they'll do the sad walk home, but whoever wins will stay and cheer for Purdue. There's no doubt. Houston will they'll be playing a big stadium road game.
That's right. Now, is that at the
Lucas
football
Oil
stadium, or is
at
it Pace? Okay.
Yeah, it's at Lucas Oil.
I thought maybe it'd be at Pacers Stadium, much like Atlanta. They're at State Farm, not in the big football.
No,
stadium,
this is the only football stadium. San Francisco, of course, is in the Golden State Arena. Atlanta is in State Farm Arena. You'll be at the Prudential Center. There in Newark. Why do you keep laughing at that? I mean, you know that's where you're going.
I know, but just look at the venues.
I know.
Where the Golden State Warriors play, Lucas Oil, State Farm, where the Hawks play, and Jim, you'll of course be in Newark.
I know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
It is it's a crap. I don't know why they put it there. I really don't. It does seem like you were telling me somebody told you, like, God, Seton Hall always gets to host this thing. I feel like I've watched a lot of NCAA tournaments where Seton Hall has hosted a region. I really do. I don't know why they like that so much.
Did they create the NCAA?
Maybe they did. I don't know. Seton Hall might have had a hand in creating the NCAA. Who knows? Hey, NASCAR.
Why are we going to Newark?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. NASCAR is coming back to the Talladega Super Speedway, the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR. Talladega Super Speedway, ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to this track, you got to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25 through 27. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Jay said you should paint your face like Putty did. That's the home of the New Jersey Devils. You've seen that Steinfeld, right?
Oh, is that where the Devils play?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
Yeah, hockey arena.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, bad basketball arenas, hockey arenas.
Oh, that's okay. The Cleveland. Today's the first day. Well, it's 39 now, so it's still not going into 50 degrees. I've looked at the long range forecast. At least the sun's going to be out, but it never touches 60 while I'm in Newark. So this is going to be the longest time I think I've been below 60 degrees in my life.
Yeah. Bundle up, my man. Bundle up. So, Dunaway, you'll be in Newark starting tomorrow. Your coverage will begin there, and then Alabama will be there. They're going, for those that weren't with us earlier, like Dunaway. Alabama's just flying straight from Cleveland to New Jersey. But their meeting of the media in the open locker room, the shoot-around will be Wednesday, so we'll have a lot of coverage at Next Round Live from Wednesday, and then Little T will be over in Atlanta Thursday for the same thing for Auburn, their media session and shoot-around and all of that from Atlanta. So, well, you'll be there today or later today, and then tomorrow. But the big stuff is really Wednesday, the shoot around and the meeting with the media.
That's right. Open practice. I'm going to sneeze again, Brownie. I apologize.
Well, we can do the viewing menu if you want to gather it together. Tyler can do the viewing menu.
So emotional.
I know it's NCAA tournament season. I would
tell him to kill my mic so I can sneeze here a little bit.
Tyler, if you would please mute Dunaway so he can drop a sneeze. The Michelson viewing menu. Presented each day by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision, 969-8100, MichelsonLaserVision.com. Go see Drs. Mark and Jennifer Michelson, father-daughter duo there. They're innovators in the field of LASIK surgery, and they can help you get that fighter pilot vision like Lance got so many years ago. 969-8100, MichelsonLaserVision.com. I believe Jim is clear. Tyler, your viewing menu presented by Michelson.
Hey, by the way, Snow White's in theaters now since I'm sneezy this morning.
Tyler said awful. Don't waste your time.
Yes, it is. Do not waste your time. It just is kind of a nothing story. Like, it tries to be an original Disney princess story and recapture that magic while also reinventing it into, like, Snow White being a heroine, and then also having... it just tries to do too much.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
Not a fan of it. Now, one movie I do recommend is Locked. That was with Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. I really enjoyed that. Also, over the weekend, I saw a sci-fi movie called Ash. It starred Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. It felt very much like Aliens from James Cameron, but if you had a John Carpenter directing, it felt very suspenseful, very atmospheric, very good color palette as well.
Color palette?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Looked great. And tonight there is an exclusive early access screening for an upcoming movie called Death of a Unicorn. It has been described as Jurassic Park, but with unicorns. And it's got Paul Rudd,
Tyler,
Will Poulter, and Jenna Ortega. So that's what I'll be seeing tonight.
Tyler,
So,
you see some strange things.
So, 2 questions, Tyler. A movie where it's basically Unicorn Jurassic Park. Are you supposed to take psychedelics before you go watch this?
Mushrooms? You take some shrooms?
I don't think you're necessarily supposed to, but I imagine some people will.
Not frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And secondly, Paul Rudd is in it, so it's going to have some humor, right? Like it's dark comedy.
Yeah, it's a dark comedy. There's been a lot of horror comedies lately, so this will be a movie that I imagine I'll like a decent bit, and Tim will avoid like the plague.
By the way, Volfan205, this is a compliment to you. I literally just wait to see what Tyler says about movies before I go see them. It's like my personal reviewer. So that's a compliment to you.
I'm glad. That's the whole reason why I go see everything, is so I can let people know what's actually worth seeing and what's not. What are the little hidden gems that you don't hear about but are really worth your time?
That's the Michelson viewing menu. Thank you very much, Tyler. When we return, we will have 4 downs. We'll see if they're good celebrity birthdays or not. And ask Dunaway that question I almost gave away earlier. Over under on amount of SEC teams still playing in the Elite 8. We will do that next on the next round.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com. The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR is Talladega Super Speedway, and it's ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the Talladega Super Speedway, you have to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every single turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25th through 27th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Don't miss the action. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and Bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Celebrate the best time of year, tournament time, with MyBookie.ag. Sign up right now, code NEXTROUND, and receive a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, a $10 casino chip. Tournament time is here, so enjoy it even more by playing along at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND on your initial deposit for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, $10 casino chip. Don't get caught by the buzzer. Sign up now at MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster. Champy's Chicken.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation states that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
We continue on the next round. Dunaway wrapping up his trip to Cleveland. He's on his way to Newark, New Jersey, where he'll be joining us the rest of the week. Dunaway, I was going to go back. We've watched this Ken Palm. We always talk about, is the Ken Palm, is it right? Is it wrong? You know, can you trust the Ken Palm? There's 16 teams left. The lowest ranked team. Now, you're always going to have to. There's going to be outliers. There are going to be teams that are, get better at the end of the year. They just get hot at the right time. Arkansas is your lowest remaining of the 16, 36th in Ken Palm. 65 in offense, 17 in defense. BYU, the next worst remaining team, according to Ken Palm, 24th, 9th in offense, 71st in defense. This is a good matchup for Alabama, I'm telling you.
Let's go.
Ole Miss, the third worst remaining team, 21st. 24th in offense, 21st in defense. They still, by the way, meet that Ken Palm stat that Little T sends out about teams that have top 40 offense, top 25 defense.
So you're telling me that, out of the powerful SEC, the third worst team left is a team that's number 21 in defense?
In the Ken Palm, yeah. 24 in offense, 21 in defense, and 21st in the Ken Palm overall.
Wow.
Michigan, the fourth worst remaining team, 20th in the Ken Palm, 39th in offense, 13th in defense. Again, I think good matchup for Auburn. The big guys do give me a little bit of worry, but I think this is a good matchup for Auburn.
I agree with you.
And then the remaining teams. So what I've named 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 12 remaining teams. They're all 16th or better. Purdue 16, Kentucky 15, Arizona 13, Maryland 10, Texas Tech 8, Michigan State 7, Bama 6, Tennessee 5, Auburn 4, Florida 3, Houston 2, Duke 1. So we spend a lot of time talking about the Ken Palm. Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, I look at that and I'm like, they got the Sweet 16 pretty good. There are a couple of outliers, but beyond that, they were pretty solid in their Sweet 16.
Yeah, very chalky for this tournament.
Correct.
And I thought the selection committee did a wonderful job seeding this thing when they were challenged with so many SEC teams in this thing. And I'm happy for them and our friends Greg Byrne and Martin Newton for sort of getting it proved that they seeded a good tournament, that there have been so few upsets. So give me Auburn again. Auburn is where?
They're fourth in the Ken Palm.
Okay. Now give me their region. So Michigan is where?
Michigan is 20th in the Ken Palm.
Ole Miss is 21.
Ole Miss is 21 in the Ken Palm. And then Michigan State is 7th. Well, let's just do combined number real quick. We'll do this. So Michigan State is 7. Auburn is 4, so that's 11. Michigan is 20, so that's 31. And then Michigan State is 7, so that's 38. All right? So that's Auburn's region is 38.
Your lowest number is like golf. Lowest number is going to be the toughest region.
That is correct. Duke is 1. Alabama is 6, so that's 7 there. BYU is 24, so that gets you to 31. And then Duke is playing Arizona, who is 13th. So that gets you to 43.
So right now, Auburn's region is tougher than Alabama's.
Tougher than Alabama's. Help me out here with the Houston region.
Houston is 1.
Houston is 2.
Houston is the seed. Okay, Purdue is who they play.
Purdue is currently 16th, so that gets you to 18.
Kentucky and Tennessee.
Kentucky is 15, so that gets you to 33. And then Tennessee is 5, so that gets you to 38, same as Auburn.
Okay. All right.
Then
and now
Florida. Florida is 3.
Okay. Maryland.
Maryland is 10, so that gets me to 13. Boy,
Texas Tech.
Me doing math live is like a high wire act. Texas Tech is 8, so that gets you to 21.
Yeah.
And then who am I missing? Who's the last
Arkansas.
team? Arkansas. That's going to kill you because they're 36th. So that's going to be, by Ken Palm, that's going to be the easiest region. So that gets you, they're 57. So the Alabama region is 43, the Florida region is 57, and the Auburn and Tennessee, Kentucky regions are both 38.
Yeah, feel pretty good if you're you got Florida as your national champion.
Yeah,
or at least getting to the Final Four.
I mean, the thing that threw this way out of whack, they're all pretty even. Like if you throw St. John's in instead of Arkansas, that would have made it 3, 13, 21. St. John's is 14. It's going to be 36. So it's going to be 38, 36, 38, 38, 36, 43. So it would actually been really, really even. It was the one upset that threw it out with Arkansas upsetting St. John's.
Yeah, it's a great point. Good exercise there. It will not make Taylor's highlight reel for 2025.
Yeah, me doing math on the air. By the way, we talk about the Ken Palm stat where every national champion since 2002 has been top 25, top 40 offense, top 25 adjusted defense. Alabama right now, 4th on offense, 29th defense. Scott is showing you the most recent update. Alabama very, very close after that defensive performance last night. And you're like, well, BYU is going to score a lot of points. Keep in mind, this is a per possession. This is adjusted for tempo. So even if BYU does score a lot of points in an Alabama win, it wouldn't necessarily kill their defensive ranking.
Yeah, but it does just because of tempo and the ability to score, it can hurt you a little bit because your defense may not have the effort you need it to have against a team like BYU.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily a point discussion. It is adjusted for tempo. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, this is why this stat works all the time, is because when you get to this time of year, maybe you haven't played elite defense all the time, all season long, but it takes an effort like Alabama had last night. It'll take that kind of effort a few more times if they're going to be national champions. Yeah. It'll take that kind of effort at least one more time, if not 2 more times, if they're going to make the Final Four again. And that's what happened last year. We sent out a soundbite last night of Jaron Stevenson saying that. It was about this time last year that we started playing better defense. And here we were. We just had our best defensive game maybe all year against St. Mary's.
All right, we'll do 4 downs in 1 second. Let me remind everybody about NASCAR coming back to the Talladega Super Speedway, the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR. Talladega Super Speedway, ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the track, you got to check it out. This beast in Talladega, 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25 through 27. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Tyler, if you will, please. Let's do 4 downs. It's presented each day by our friends at Bojangles. Don't forget that breakfast at Bojangles. It is a great, great breakfast. If you're tired of choosing between sweet and savory, why not have both? Introducing the Bojangles Chicken and Bowberry Waffles. Signature Cajun chicken filet drizzled with a Bowberry glaze sandwich between 2 warm waffles. Available for a limited time at Bojangles. It's Bow time.
First down.
All right, I almost hit my hand on this one, Dunaway. So, your possibility of SEC teams in the Elite Eight. You could have Auburn. You could have Ole Miss. You could have Florida. You could have Arkansas. You could have either Kentucky or Tennessee. You could have Alabama. So that's 6. If I set the over-under at 4.5, would you go over or under Elite Eight teams from the SEC?
I think Florida beats Maryland. That's 1.
There's 1.
I think it'll be a close loss, but Texas Tech beats Arkansas.
Okay, that's 2.
I think Alabama beats BYU.
You bet. That's 2. All right.
Tennessee beats Kentucky this time.
You're guaranteed one of those, so that's 3.
Yep. Auburn beats Michigan.
4.
And Michigan State beats Ole Miss. I'm going to say 4.
Oh, so you would take the under.
Yep.
So if I said it at 3.5 is the only way you would consider the over.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, 4 is the answer.
I mean, is that a victory? Like, there's no doubt 7 is a victory for the SEC.
Yeah, it is. By the way, 7 is the record in the Sweet 16, breaking the ACC's record in 2016. So that's even stood for a while now, almost a decade, that the ACC's had the record for the most Sweet 16, which was 6 of the 16. Now, the SEC has 7. And people will say, well, you had so many bids, you should have 7 there. Well, yeah, but you have to live up to expectations. Now, if you've got 50% of the Elite 8, 4 of the 8, I think that also will set a record. I really do.
Jace went over, Steve went over, so a lot of people are going over. But, I mean, 17 is already a win. If it's 4 Elite 8, half Elite 8, do we still say, look, SEC's still doing work? I mean, they're doing their thing, right? If you get 4 half of the Elite 8s from the SEC, that's still a win for them, right?
Oh, I think absolutely, because now you got 50% of the field, and if you get 2 of the Final 4, I think
still
that's
50%. And
that's 50%. You've done what you needed to do. So to get over 4.5, you've got to have Arkansas win or Ole Miss win.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think 4 is the number. I don't think I'd go over. I think 3.5 is probably the better of the 2 numbers. I don't think I'd go over that number, though. But, yeah, I think you're right. 4 is the number, and that is a win for the SEC.
Second down.
Harry Houdini would have been 151 today. Famous magician. A, do you like magicians? And we'll do the whole group on this one. B, who is your favorite magician?
I enjoy the way the Penn and Teller duo approach it.
Right.
Because they sort of tell me a story while they're doing magic. Other than that, I find it pretty annoying.
Yeah.
Magic. Yeah. Because I always know, like, it's a gimmick, right? I know there's something that, you have the card hidden up your sleeve, or you've got the quarter behind your fingers as you're pulling it out from my ear. So I don't really believe it. Even when you are dunking people in the tank, but the fact that people died because the gimmick they couldn't pull off while also holding their breath underwater, that makes it that kind of stuff exciting. But I would say of modern day favorite musicians, it would be the Penn and Teller guy.
All right.
I got to go David Blaine. I'm not sure if he would really fall into the magician category. He's more in that old school Houdini escape artist.
I liked
category.
him, Tyler, but then it became like David Blaine's going to see how long he can stand on this block of ice in Times Square, and I'm like, that's a feat of endurance. That's not magic.
Yeah, he was.
That was my problem with
frozen
him.
in a block of ice one time.
Now we're
a whole bunch of crazy.
Now that's
stuff.
just endurance. That's not really magic to me.
I mean, you're not wrong, but he's much better than like Chris Angel or somebody.
Yeah, I never liked that Chris Angel guy.
I would, if you count hypnotists.
Sure, why not?
As magicians, then I would like to suggest Lyle Lovett, because he had to be a magician to get Julia Roberts to marry him back in the day.
It's a low way to go for that one. Scott, are you a magician guy? If so, who do you like?
No, magicians don't do anything for me. Especially if we're talking like if mimes are included.
I never liked mimes.
I hate mimes.
Yeah, I never liked mimes.
I don't think we can technically do it. Can he pull up Lyle Lovett and Julia Roberts together from back in the day? It's an old reference from back in the 90s.
Yeah, Scott might could do that. Yeah.
But he's a magic man. There's no way to say, because she had her own money. It wasn't for money.
So
that relationship never, other than Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley's daughter or whatever, I just don't understand that Lyle Lovett, Julia Roberts actually married. Crazy.
So where are we on Dr. Oz, who's been on the show before? Do we consider that magic? That's the Mentalist. Do we consider that magic?
Oh, I do like him.
He does some crazy stuff. I saw a little behind the scenes with him on the show.
Me too. And
is it Oz or Oz?
Oz, I think it is Oz.
Yeah, Dr. Oz is a
different
guy.
Dr. Oz.
Hey, here we go. Lyle and Julia.
It's Oz the Mentalist. Yeah, there's Lyle and Julia. Dunaway is right. I will.
a good-looking guy right there.
Yeah, I'll never understand it. It is. That one baffled me when it was happening in real time. Even as I look back on it now, I'm like, I still don't understand it.
Yeah, because she had her money. I mean, a lot of times
right.
you say, that guy's rich.
Yeah, well, Julia had
that
a
guy's
time.
rich.
Yeah.
She had her money. She had her money. So I've seen O's, the mentalist, do his thing up close and personal. He did me, and he did it remotely too. Just reading body languages, and that guy impressed me. I didn't know we were counting him, so I would.
That's what I asked.
My favorite.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's my favorite then. Yeah.
All right, third down.
Third down.
Tommy Hilfiger, 74 today. Fashion trend that you were all in on at any point in your life. Like when I was in high school, Tommy Hilfiger was the fashion brand everybody had to have. Tommy Hilfiger shirts, Tommy Hilfiger jeans. Everybody had to have Tommy Hilfiger at one point in high school. Fashion trend you were all in on at one point.
Yeah, well, I'm an 80s kid, so looking back, it's stupid, but I had to have that little gator, that little Izod gator.
Lacoste now, but it was Izod when we were kids. I don't know what happened to Izod,
Yeah, but we had to have the Izod gator on all of our shirts, and very floral colors, so I did not have a lot of money. So when they would go on sale at the outlet stores in the summertime or whatever, I would buy as many as I could, and just so that I'd be ready for the next year at Thompson Middle and High School. But you had to have the gator on your shirt there, the little Izod.
Tyler, other than Supreme, is there a fashion trend that you have been all in on?
When I was in high school, the real popular thing to do was to wear like skinny jeans or slim jeans and then wear them with the Adidas Ultra Boost running shoes.
I bet that was a look right there.
It was
so
an
skinny jeans with Adidas running shoes. I am glad EG's at Pro Day in Auburn because I don't know what her reaction to that would be.
I mean, I feel like she would remember the trend, but that was the trend. It was like I want to say Kanye made that popular, but that was what everybody was doing when I was in high school.
Scott?
Yeah, hey, anybody remember Jams?
Oh, Lord, yeah. Jams are massive.
There you go.
Yeah, look at those.
Look at those bad boys.
Look at those. Down below your knees, Scotty. Those things almost went to the top of the ankle.
I had quite a few pairs.
Oh, yeah. I wore Jams. That was more middle school for me, but Jams were big in middle school. Yeah.
Now, I can't see the picture remotely. Is this the sort of leisure wear that comes about almost baggy capri pants?
Baggy. They're not quite capri.
They're shorts.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as capri, but they're shorts down below your knees for sure.
Yeah.
Baggy, loud patterns and designs.
I can see them now. That is a look.
Oh, it was a look, yeah.
Hey, there's somebody mentioned Umbros in the chat, too. I had a lot of Umbros.
Umbros were the precursor. Basically, Viore shorts now. If you think of Viore shorts, Umbros were a cheaper forerunner to Viore shorts.
Yeah, that was the 90s, the Umbros, right?
Yep.
Sort of mid 90s, early 90s, and every girl wore the Umbros.
Oh, I wore Umbros.
Well, guys did too.
Yeah, but all the girls did. Yeah,
all the girls' college campus. It's what the Lululemon tights to wear to class or everywhere. The Umbros were the style back then. I would tell you another crazy trend from the 80s was overalls of both denim variety and whites or colored ones.
Yeah,
but not hooked up.
Only one was hooked. One was hooked.
Sometimes
right?
one. Sometimes both were unhooked. Which high school and college girls can make anything look good when you're in high school, I should say.
Yeah, it's good at
as a high schooler and college girls can make anything look good. But the overall look back in the 80s makes no sense now because nobody really wanted to dress like a farmer, but it was popular for a moment there. It was something.
Fourth down.
Peyton Manning, 49 today. The former Tennessee, Indianapolis, Denver quarterback, 49 years old. All things considered, better career. All things considered, Peyton Manning or Charles Barkley? It's a tough one, isn't it? Because Manning has been a successful businessman, as has Charles. Manning has his own production company. Charles has kind of dabbled in that. Manning is good on TV and great in commercials. Charles has done that. The one thing I guess that would set them apart is the championship. I mean, both of them had Hall of Fame level careers. Both of them would easily be the top 50 historical players in their sport. I mean, they've got it tracks, just accomplishment to accomplishment. The only thing Manning has that Charles doesn't is the ring.
Yeah.
Now, Charles has a gold medal. Charles got a gold medal with the Dream Team, so I don't know how that would factor in.
It's big. It's big. It's very close. I'm going to go Peyton Manning. I'm going to go Peyton Manning because of the 2 world championships, the league MVPs, and his production company, I think, is going to continue to do something until he's in his 70s. He puts on the Country Music Award shows now, and not just sports programming. I think that will continue to do something, but very, very close, because Barkley's $15 million a year now. He is the most sought after sportscaster, I think, out there, even more so than Stephen A. So, give me Charles Barkley all day long, but in this scenario, when it's all said and done, I think it'll be Peyton Manning.
That is 4 Downs, presented by our friends at Bojangles. Congratulations, or happy birthday, I should say, to Peyton Manning, age 49. Peyton seem older than 49 to you?
Nope. That surprised me a little bit. But when you consider Tom Brady just retired, he probably should have played a few more years.
Probably so. Thank you to Bojangles for bringing us 4 Downs. As you look for places to watch the NCAA tournament, let me give you an original thought. What about our friends at The Golfus? The Golfus, you can go play, and the bays there, golf's Birmingham's best golf simulators, and they have the game zone while you are playing as well. Even outside the game zone, it's just a great place to go hang with the friends. Fun, social event. Hang with the buddies. It's affordable. Memberships are available. You bring your own food. You bring your own beverage. You bring your own alcohol. Great locations at Vestavia, Trussville, Highway 280, and Inverness. It's open right now in 280 Cobba Park Circle. You can see everything online that I'm talking about. Go ahead and book a bay in advance. TheGolfist.com. TheGolfist.com. Dunaway is going to stick around here. Dan Wetzel was supposed to be with us from ESPN. He's had something come up. He may have to bump until tomorrow. So Jim going to stick around for another hour in Cleveland. We'll talk more about the NCAA tournament, a little college football as well. Trash in the next hour. All of that from Cleveland to Birmingham on The Next Round, presented by Bud Light.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Looking to expand your business? Let The Next Round help you. Contact us, sales@nextroundlive.com, and be part of the team. Advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential customers on our ever-expanding platforms. The Next Round can take your business to the next level. Join our existing partners in the fastest-growing media space, both live and on demand, while reaching the most desirable audience for your business. Get more information by emailing sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to build a plan to take your business to the next level using The Next Round.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood. Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
The biggest and baddest track in NASCAR is Talladega Super Speedway, and it's ready to put on another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the Talladega Super Speedway, you have to check it out. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every single turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25th through 27th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Don't miss the action. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between two warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
What a great time of year to be online with our friends at mybookie.ag, mybookie.ag, where right now you get a major current sign-up bonus, a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip when using the code NEXTROUND. That's code NEXTROUND. We're talking about all the madness of March, the NBA playoff race, the start of Major League Baseball, and it's all for you right now online when using the code NEXTROUND. Go sign up today, mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, we head to the Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight, and the state of Alabama is well represented with 2. So is the state of Michigan, by the way. The SEC is extremely well represented with 7. We've talked a lot about that on the show today. We'll continue that. We're about to hear from some of the SEC coaches that are in there. You can see in the double box, if you're watching us, that Jim Dunaway remains in Cleveland. He is about to board a plane after the show and head to New Jersey, where he will do the remainder of the week. Lance is out this week on spring break on a vacation with his family. I'm headed on a vacation with my family after tomorrow's show for spring break. EG's down at Auburn Pro Day. She'll be in studio some with Dunaway as he is headed on vacation to New Jersey. That's where everybody wants to go in the spring is New Jersey.
I told my wife, happy spring break. Remember when we used to go to 30A all the time, and now I'm going to Newark, and we're going to be apart. And you should know that this will shock nobody. I when we started bouncing the plan around just financially for our company being better for us to go from Cleveland to Newark instead of flying home this morning to Birmingham and then flying back to Newark on Tuesday, me being home less than 20 hours made no sense. So I said, baby, first off, do you mind if I just go straight to Newark? And she said no.
She said, you're not upstairs? No, I've been in Cleveland for 3 days.
But then she said, what are you going to do about clothes? And as she started to put a period on the sentence, she said, oh, never mind. You overpack all the time anyway. And I said, well, that's not fair. And she goes, how many pants did you pack? And I said, counting blue jeans? And she says, yes, counting blue jeans. I said, I have 10. She goes, you packed 10 pairs of pants. How long was your Cleveland stay if Alabama had gotten beat? 5 days. And she goes, okay, so you packed 2 pairs of pants per day. She was like, how many underwear did you pack? I said, 10 pants, 10 underwear. And she says, what do you do on these trips?
Barely change underwear often. Well, good. I was concerned about that. I didn't know if you were going to have to find an old school laundromat to do that. So,
well, I mean, there may be on the flight home, if you've got seat next to me on flight home, it may be second wear underwear or commando. And we can make that a vote. Should on flight home, if Alabama is able to make it and play Elite Eight Saturday on flight home Sunday, that's the day I will run out of underwear. So should it be second wear? Should I rotate back to the one I wore on the flight up like 10 days ago? or should I go commando on the way home?
Tyler
Is
seems to have
laundry
thoughts.
not an option?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is there nowhere you could go wash clothes?
I'm not going to wash clothes.
Why?
I'm more likely to buy new underwear and throw these
That's what you
away
do.
than
Yeah,
I
that's what
am
you do. Yeah.
to do anything else.
Yeah, yep. That's what I would do probably. Just go buy new underwear, Tyler, rather than wash clothes.
Okay.
Now, I don't
All right.
like wearing clothes, especially underwear, straight out of the package.
Yeah. You don't want to put your package straight out.
Correct. Yes. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
I got you.
I would
I
just,
got you.
I mean, I think you could easily find a laundromat. You're in New Jersey. I think there are a lot of people that don't have washers and dryers in their houses. So once you get to New Jersey, I'm going to suggest finding a laundromat will be pretty easy. The games are going to be played on the campus at Seton Hall. You could probably go do a load of laundry, run over, do some interviews, come back, finish the load of laundry, and go back to your hotel.
Well, I mean, just so you know, the entire traveling party with Alabama, they will be doing laundry. So I could try to, convince my man Brian Passink or Chris Stewart or Tom Stipe to, throw some of my unmentionables. But if you watch the Great Friends episodes, I don't want my guys swimming around with your guys.
So
even in
people in the chat room are saying the hotel will do it for free. Oh, no, for a fee. I'm sorry, for a fee, not for free.
For a fee.
Big difference there, yeah.
I'm sure some hotels will.
No, this one will. This is a high-end name. I haven't seen the
Yeah, no,
hotel, but it's a high-end name.
I'm sure some will. I've never done that before.
Oh, okay.
What is the fee?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then how much do I get laundered? Just my underwear? Here's a bag full of underwear.
How about who said this? It's moving so fast. Somebody said sneak in one of the dorms at Seton Hall. Just use their laundry there.
Alabama man was arrested in Newark.
We got trash coming. Trash is sitting right over there. That's a great way to end up in it.
While trying to leave his underwear in a college dorm.
All right, don't forget this is the Champions Hour. Champions World Famous Fried Chicken. Our guy, Sterling Dunaway, is just throwing the doors open there at Champions to serve us some lunch.
Yeah, he did that about 6 minutes ago, and he had the opportunity to enjoy great food all weekend long, and now he's ready to do it for another week for all the folks who are out there working for you right now to make America great. Make America great by running by and having lunch with Sterling and the crew right there. Highway 119 in Alabaster. He brines that chicken overnight. It is cooked to order, wonderful sides, and the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. There's no better customer service. For over a decade at that one location, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Go tell Sterling hi at Champions.
All right, let's hear from some of these coaches, Tyler, if we can. We will start with Chris Beard, the Ole Miss coach who had some success. He's taken Texas Tech to a national championship game. He was having success at Texas before Texas moved on from him, and now here you find Ole Miss already in the Sweet 16 under Chris Beard, and as he said, this was just one of the objectives when he took the job.
We were kind of a, win or bust team. Like we set the objective really high. We want to go in the tournament. We want to have a good seed. We want to be one of those teams that has a chance to win the tournament. And, Ole Miss winning the tournament, I don't know. Probable? No. Possible? Absolutely. Right now with our team, we're watching the Coach Valvano special. We're not done yet. And players are like, when are we going to finish? I said, we're going to finish on Sunday night right before the Monday game. So it's not arrogance, but it's absolutely belief. If I didn't believe this team was capable of continuing to win games in this tournament, then I shouldn't be the coach at Ole Miss.
I do love that approach. If I didn't believe they were capable of winning games, I shouldn't be the coach at Ole Miss. Todd Golden, we know they are capable of winning games. This is a team that was playing the best basketball in the country, most believed, coming into the NCAA tournament, and they have advanced by the skin of their teeth against UConn. But here they are in the Sweet 16, and that was a nail-biter against the two-time defending national champion Huskies.
We made winning play after winning play down the stretch in the last 6 minutes, after about 34 minutes of it not looking like it was going to go our way. And, that's the benefit of having three great senior leaders in the backcourt and some young, hungry front court players that'll give it their all to compete on every single play. And it wasn't necessarily pretty for majority of the game for us, but that 8-0 run down the stretch, I think he finished with about 40 seconds, if the stat sheet is right, was huge. And these guys, our players, delivered today.
Mark Pope, the Kentucky head coach, one reason Kentucky is where they are is because of their improvement on the defensive end. In fact, if you look at KenPom today, you will find Kentucky 45th in the nation in adjusted defensive efficiency. They were 112th a couple of weeks ago, and Mark Pope gives you the key to that success for Kentucky improving the defense.
We have a player-led team. We have unbelievable leadership on our team, and it comes from a wide variety of guys in different slices of it. And when you have players that are leading the charge, things get better. I've never seen, and I haven't dug into the data, so somebody check for me, but I actually have never seen a team that's gone from 112 to 45 in the last 6 weeks of a season. I've never seen it, and that is a credit to our guys, man. It just gives you a sense of the DNA of our players.
Dunaway, we talked about Alabama's defensive improvement, that the Crimson Tide has moved all the way up to 29th in Ken Palm's adjusted defensive efficiency. That is where Alabama has been in the 40s a lot of the year. They crept down in the 30s late in the season. Of late, they have played much better defense. But numerically, to see what Kentucky has done is pretty crazy. He challenged somebody to go do the homework. I'm sure somebody will, to see if anybody's, I guess Ken Palm himself could probably do it, Ken Pomeroy, to go from 112 to 45. This team is playing much better defense, which is why you find them in the Sweet 16.
I actually think probably Alabama did it last year, a bigger rise in those numbers than 112 to 45. I don't know if Alabama was ever to 112, but I'm pretty sure they went a lot higher than 45. So I think Alabama last year had a bigger rise gap-wise than Kentucky has just gone on. But to your point, I think here's what happens. Just like we see in the NBA when we get to the playoffs, just like we see in the NFL, just like we see in Major League Baseball, playoff time becomes where each possession is valued more than it is in the regular season, because your forever, your eternity, your life is on the line as a team. And I think you start to defend and possess, the ball, each possession more valuable. And I think that's why defense picks up this time of year. We see it in every sport. And I think we see it in college basketball for those teams that advance. Teams that can't value every possession for 40 minutes are the teams that get beat and kicked out of the tournament.
I don't know. I mean, their defense obviously is not at the level of Tennessee's. I'm going to see where Tennessee, they've been, number one pretty much all year long. I'm going to see where they are defensively going into this game. They're number 3. Houston is number 1. It's not going to reach the level of Tennessee's, obviously, but they beat Tennessee twice, not playing this level of defense.
That's right.
And you wonder, obviously they found something they liked in that Tennessee matchup, something that worked for them. But they did that twice, and they've improved their defense since then. If you're a Kentucky fan, maybe you look at that and you're like, this might be the best version of the Kentucky Wildcats this year, and you've already beaten Tennessee twice with the other versions of the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I would venture to say what they have done the other 2 previous times, they will not be able to do for a third time.
I would tend to agree, yes.
Because, Tennessee is a better team.
That is right.
Than Kentucky is. So Kentucky's beaten them twice, but Tennessee's a better team than Kentucky is. So, you can upset somebody once. Rarely do you beat them twice. Is the better team actually going to lose 3 times to Kentucky?
You would not think, but maybe Tennessee's just not better than Kentucky, I mean, I know when I look at the entire resume, Tennessee's the better team. Based on resume, but sometimes resume there's just that outlier. I mean, trying to think.
I just went back and looked. He had to have a lot of open shots, but Chaz Lanier in the last meeting was 3 of 13 from 3, took 13 threes and missed 10 of them in a game that he was 3 of 13 from the field. He was 0 of 7 from 3, and Ziegler was 0 of 2 from 3. Gainey was 0 of 4 from 3. They were 3 of 18 from 3 in the loss against Kentucky at Rupp, 75-64. And I bet if we go back to the other meeting of those 2 teams, that we're gonna end up getting the same type of numbers, that Tennessee got sucked into shooting more threes in the Tennessee style. Kentucky beat them 78-73. So, lower scoring than normally what Kentucky is. But Tennessee that night ended up from 3-point line. They shot 45 threes Am I right? That's right. They shot 45 threes and only hit 11 of them. That's not Tennessee style.
No.
Ziegler was 1 of 11, and Lanier was 3 of 10, and Gainey was 2 of 8, and they were 11. Dubar was 1 of 7, 11 of 45. When have you ever seen a Rick Barnes team shoot 45 freaking threes?
No, you're absolutely right. That's way out of their game plan, no doubt.
Yeah. So that's been the difference in those two games.
Yeah. Interesting to see that matchup again after we've seen it as much as we have this year, obviously. To see it again and know that Kentucky won 2 of those games. I'm with you. It's hard to beat any team 3 times in a year. It's hard to beat as good a team as Tennessee is 3 times in a year. But, I mean, it's happened. Look, they did it in Knoxville. This will be a neutral site. I mean, there'll be more Kentucky fans there.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I do the spotlight real quick?
The college football spotlight?
Yeah, I'm going to take a basketball spin off of a football narrative, okay?
Tyler, if you do not mind, would you hit the button for the old spotlight?
The college football spotlight.
It is the Shannara Spotlight. Alexander Shannara Trial Attorneys, national firm with Southern roots, headquartered in Birmingham. In 24 years, they've grown to more than 150 lawyers, supported by more than 500 dedicated team members. Their elite trial lawyers have recovered more than $2 billion, maintaining Alexander's core values of integrity, mastery, passion, and success. Alexander Shannara's mission was to create a firm that could handle any issues community face. He's done that. If you're in need of a lawyer, call the Alexander Shannara Trial Attorneys. You pay nothing unless they win your case. It's the Shannara Spotlight today, bringing you the spotlight from Cleveland. The hotbed of college football is Jim Dunaway.
Okay, yeah, just down a lot of Ohio State fans here, just down the street,
Good
by
point.
the way, from the national champs.
That's a good point.
But here's my thought, and it's a basketball perception that has leaked into basketball, because in the pursuit for football national championships, which conferences usually win? The power conferences,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
They usually win the championships. They control the playoffs. It's all about them in the playoffs, and it always has been. The bowl games have been about the power conferences, but in college basketball, it's been every man's game. Everyone can play their way into the tournament, and everybody can win the tournament. And, usually it's a power conference team that wins the national championship. I'm not going to kid you there, but usually this tournament is made for the other conferences. This tournament, only the 4 power conferences are left. The SEC has 7. The Big Ten has 4, the Big 12 has 4, and the ACC has 1. That's the first time in the history of the NCAA tournament that only the power, used to be 5, power 4 conferences now are left in the Sweet 16. The first time in the history of the NCAA tournament that's ever happened. In fact, the closest, Brownie, it's come to this to show you how wide open the NCAA tournament is. The 4 of the only 4 conferences representative, and it just happens to be the Power 4. The closest we've ever come to this is 7 different conferences represented in the Sweet 16. And we've only got 4 this year. If you want to know how this tournament is changing, is, the power conferences have gotten bigger, and they are now really even leaking in, controlling college basketball.
NIL, according to Lamb I Believer, NIL killed the mid-major darlings. NIL gets blamed for a lot of things, some of it true, some of it not. I think NIL coupled with the transfer portal is the reason this is happening. And it is going to be so much more prevalent in college basketball because you got a guy, I'll use just a very local example here, like Chris Youngblood. Chris Youngblood is probably... you could say he's the difference in Alabama still being alive or not. If they didn't have Chris Youngblood, could Alabama have won the first 2 games? If they didn't have Grant Nelson, they probably don't win the first game. That's Nate Oats' own words. But you see what I'm saying, right? And Chris Youngblood in the old world would probably still be at South Florida, and they're not even in the tournament. So, I think it just shows you how just one player, even if it's not even a high-end frontline starter. Mark Sears is obviously a transfer portal guy. Janai Broom is a transfer portal guy. You look at all these guys, you will see that the NCAA tournament has in a lot of ways been molded by these guys that are transferring to bigger programs.
Let me give you one more example from our friend Karen, who enjoys the show, and she always sends me amazing information. Florida Atlantic went to the Final Four in 2023. The top 3 scorers on that Final Four team are still alive in the Sweet 16 this year for 3 different teams.
Yeah.
I'll say that again for you. Florida Atlantic's Final Four team in 2023 has their top 3 scorers, not just 3 guys on the team. Their top 3 scorers from that team are still alive in this tournament in 2025, and they're on 3 different teams. You got Golden, who's the big guy at Florida Atlantic. He's with Michigan. Janelle Davis was the big scorer. He's at Arkansas. And the kid from Florida, whose name slips my mind, he was at Florida Atlantic. He's now with the Gators. 3 of the top 3 scorers at 3 different teams still playing in the Sweet 16. That's the basketball world we live in.
That's the Shannara Spotlight, Shannara.com. If you're in need of an attorney, Shannara.com is the perfect place to start. Zach actually, with a much better comparison than what I used on the fly there with Youngblood, Cliff Amore transfers from Rutgers. Rutgers might be in the tournament with Amore. I don't know. But is Alabama still in the tournament without Amore? I mean, that guy was dominant last night. They had no answer for him on the inside, Jim. Could they still have won against St. Mary's without Amore? Maybe, but look at the impact that guy has made. He is, again, the old narrative, if Alabama doesn't hit their threes, they're going to lose. Not the case anymore. And was it the case before? It's certainly not the case now because of guys like Cliff Amore. He's a much better example of that.
Yeah, you know who's not trying to dispel that reputation? And you saw it yesterday, the St. Mary's folks, they were working hard to guard the perimeter, to not let Alabama get hot from three-point land. And that just opened up Alabama to take it in and challenge at the rim. This team wins by going to the rim, not by hitting threes.
Yeah.
That's how they won at Neville Arena. They didn't win shooting threes. They won by beating Auburn at the rim. Their biggest wins this year have come by beating teams at the rim.
Okay, a couple of sponsors, and then we're going to talk a couple more things before we get to trash. First of all, New Life Art, Dunaway. Maybe there is a painting in Daniel A. Moore's future. Win over Duke, maybe, to go to the Final Four. Maybe a win in the Final Four.
Well, I mean, here's an idea for Daniel A. if he's watching. If anybody wants to get Daniel A. on the phone,
Most people just call him Danny, but Daniel A. is very formal.
Yeah, if you call God on this hand, you want to call Daniel A. Moore on this hand. You can call him up and say, "Hey, here's an idea for you. Mark Sears is now more wins in the NCAA tournament in an Alabama uniform than any other Alabama player. Why don't you paint a March Sears portrait?"
Ah, interesting.
March Sears. That's something Daniel A. Moore could do. You can have brackets in the background and some great moments. Whatever. I'm just an idea.
Just an idea, man. That's right. I'm just a caveman.
It's up to you guys to make money. Whatever you want to do. I'm just throwing ideas out. DanielAmore.com, DanielAmore.com. Get the legend, Nick Saban. He won 6 national championships. So you're like, hey, why don't I paint something about that? He did that. It's yours there. Why don't you remember those great years of Alabama football with a painting from Daniel A. Moore? Check everything out from New Life Art and the great Daniel A. Moore at DanielAmore.com. Daniel
Moore Art.
A. Moore.
DanielMooreArt.com.
Thank you. One more time.
DanielMooreArt.com.
Yeah, drop the A.
Yeah,
DanielMooreArt.com.
Yeah, very, very formal with the A there. Also, our friends at Odie's, great place to watch all the games. Odie's Tavern, both the Edgewood location there in Homewood and also the OG right there in Mountain Brook. They will have, though Lance and I are both going to be out of town, they're still going to, and Will Haver, in fact, they're still going to fight through a trivia Wednesday night. We do it every single Wednesday night there at Odie's, starting around 8 o'clock. Award-winning Odie's team trivia. Odie's Tavern, great place to go for lunch today. Get Rodney's cheeseburger, one of those big cup cocktails, great Diablo sandwich, all right there at Odie's Tavern. All right. There was a college basketball opening over the weekend, too. In fact, Iowa has filled their job a little less interesting than Texas filling their job. Rodney Terry bounced after Texas got bounced in the play-in game. And there were reports that Nate Oats had drawn the interest of Texas. Not saying that Nate Oats was interested, not even saying it was a realistic possibility. But from Kirk Bowles of the Austin American Statesman, he said Nate Oats is on Texas' list. Interest. Hey, look, I would ask, too, if I were Texas. You've spent some time around Nate and the Alabama people there. Did you sense any sort of concern around Alabama people that was something that would pique Nate Oats' interest?
Not at all. But here is why the job would be interesting to Nate Oats or anybody, is the NIL money that's available. You got to have NIL money to win.
Right.
And last year when Kentucky came calling for Nate Oats, as we reported, I believe first that Kentucky was interested in Nate Oats, that the one thing Nate Oats wanted more was more NIL money. And the Alabama basketball boosters, the people that love Alabama basketball, stepped to the plate and provided more NIL money available to Nate Oats how he would want to use. And that turned into this roster that they've been able to put together this year. So if indeed Texas reached out to Nate Oats' people, and I don't know if they did, but, you know, a guy who's a very big Texas insider said there was some interest there, that it would only be natural, I think, for Nate Oats, if I was him, I would turn around and say, all right, Texas is interested. Is there a chance? You're building me this basketball facility. My contract is really good. Is there a chance we maybe can get even a little bit more NIL money? Because more than a new arena, more than anything else, NIL money is where it's at, I believe, for Nate Oats. He wants to be able to coach the best players he can put together for his system. And so if that was true and there was any contact, Texas, to the representatives of Nate Oats, the one thing, if I was Nate Oats, that I would have asked for would have been, hey, Texas wants me. The only reason I would go would be NIL money. Can I get a few more dollars in the NIL coffers? And I bet the Alabama folks would have said, man, we love this. Absolutely. We love going to Newark in March. Absolutely. Let's do it.
You're one of 16 teams still playing no matter where you play the games, whether it's Newark or San Francisco or Atlanta or wherever, Indianapolis.
Yeah. And, you know, BP said the same thing at Auburn, right?
Yeah.
He, you know, already we'd worked out a deal to get a new basketball-only facility, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, what we got to take care of, priority number one is NIL. And Auburn's NIL is strong too. That's why he was able to build the roster he has. And so that's what every coach wants now is NIL. So this Texas job with Sean Miller now, who's a proven winner at several places, Xavier and Arizona, he's going to take over this Texas job that has underachieved traditionally over the years. And he's going to be able to do it with a boatload of money that should allow him to put together the best roster possible.
I look at it, though, and a lot of people don't do this. They hate it when they see their coach's name mentioned. I'm like, what's the other alternative? You've got a coach that nobody wants. Like, I don't think Nate Oats, we've talked about this, I'm not sure there's a college job he leaves for that's realistically going to be open. I think it'd be the NBA. Like, I don't know. You give me a college job that would come open that we've talked about this before. We never come up with one. Like, I really think if Hubert Davis had gotten fired, I don't think it's a lead pipe cinch he goes to North Carolina, and that's as good a job as there is. So if he's not going to take that job, you know, is he going to take the job at Texas if Texas wanted him? You know, did Kentucky ever offer him the job? I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, like you said, as soon as Kentucky came open, it was less than 48 hours before he had locked it down. I'm staying at Alabama, had released the statement, and had worked in some more NIL money and practice facility upgrades. So, I mean, you know, he's wise to use those openings for things like that. But I just, outside of the NBA, I just don't know a job he's going to leave Alabama for.
And listen, I never pretended I was friends with Nick Saban, and I'm not going to pretend I'm friends with Nate Oats. But from being closer to Nate Oats than some people get the opportunity to be, I believe he loves being around his daughters, 3 of them.
No doubt.
Who I'm told did not like his outfit yesterday, the contrasting greens. Michigan State fans loved it, though, because they thought, oh, he's dressing for the follow-up Izzo at Michigan State, because he's a very popular high school legend up there, Romulus High School. But I also think I know this about Nate Oats. He, in his belief system, he's more of a Southerner than he is from the state of Michigan now. He enjoys the people of the South more, the culture of the South more. I think he enjoys the hell out of Tuscaloosa Lake, Lake Tuscaloosa. He loves the Gulf Coast. He loves the weather. He's learning to play golf. I'm not saying Alabama's his final destination, but I don't think it's a quick, if Tom Izzo ever retired, I'm going to go back, or if Dusty May ever leaves, I'm going to go back and take one of those Michigan jobs just because I coached at Romulus one day. I don't think that's a given. I mean, he may one day leave and go to those places, but I don't think that's the case. Now, a Texas job, a North Carolina job, a Duke job where you can have unlimited resources, that would be interested. But right now, so far, Alabama's given him everything he's asked for. So I'm tickled to death, and I hope he's at Alabama for a long, long, long time.
Yeah. So anyway, the reports came out. Texas has made the hire. So if indeed there was interest, it didn't last very long. But that was from Kirk Bowles of the Austin American-Statesman. Iowa hires the Drake coach. That guy has been a pretty good coach there. Drake, see if we can translate that to Iowa. We'll see. All right, as we go to break, Hemp Hill Services brings you part of the show. If it doesn't flow right, run right, or drain right, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted for decades, and trust the name we have all at one time or another on this show trusted multiple times in some cases. 229-2090, 229-2090. That's 205 area code for Hemp Hill Services. Chad and the gang over there will take great care of you. Andrew, the entire crew, they're fantastic. They've been to my house several times, always treated me well, and done great work. 229-2090. That's 205 area code. Or hemphillservices.com. They also bring you Lance's Lock every day. And Dunaway, as always, this hour presented by our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken.
Yeah, I mean, how much if you, spend 5 days in Cleveland, 5 days in Bismarck, Newark, wherever I'm going.
It's Newark. Don't go to Bismarck, please.
A good Southern fried meal, right? That's what you get at Champy's Chicken. You just want some good down-home cooking. You've got friends visiting during the spring or summer, and they want to taste something Southern, take them to Highway 119 in Alabaster and get brined overnight, cooked to order, piping hot fried chicken, the wonderful Southern sides, great desserts, Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, and so much more. Check out the menu at champy'schicken.com and go see our favorite Champy's Chicken location, Highway 119 in Alabaster. That's our man Sterling at Champy's Chicken.
By the way, congrats to those of you that are doing well and the mybookie.ag bracket pool. We will do our best to get an update. I know many of you are asking, a lot going on today. We'll do our best to get an update. So
I want to know.
I know. Again, we'll do our best. Settle down, Jim. If you'll just settle down, we'll do our best. Okay.
There's just one bracket I can't see.
I know. Okay. We're working on it. Just settle down.
Okay.
God. Also, the thousands of you that qualified for some free money right there from our guy, Alexander Shinara. That's Shinara Showdown, man. That has been very, very popular. We're giving you a game every single game day at the Shinara Showdown at nextroundlive.com, nextroundlive.com. And
3-1, by the way.
You were 3-1 in your Showdown picks. How about that?
In my Shinara Showdown picks. I only need to get one ball in the bucket.
That's right.
I can't win.
But you would have had three. You would have had three at 3-1.
I'd have 3 balls in, yep.
Yep, you can play every single day. Thousands of you have already done that. We will have games back up for the Thursday and Friday Sweet 16 games, the Elite 8 games Saturday and Sunday, and then through the Final Four. So there you go. The Shinara Showdown, always at nextroundlive.com. That, as always, is presented by our guy, Alexander Shinara. The trial attorneys there, Birmingham firm, 24 years. They've grown to more than 150 lawyers, more than 500 dedicated team members. Their elite trial lawyers have recovered more than $2 billion, maintaining Alexander's core values of integrity, mastery, passion, and success. You know they handle not only personal injury claims, but claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, workers' compensation, and a host of other claims. When you're in need of an attorney, Shinara.com. They pay nothing. You pay nothing unless they win your case. Shinara.com for our guy, Alexander Shinara. And then heads up Thursday, it's back. The Shinara Showdown at nextroundlive.com. Trash is next.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinara, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Start with the most exciting game on hardwood. Add the best ballers in the country, a season culminating tourney, the smell of popcorn in the air, and hundreds of your closest friends absolutely losing it along with you. That's Fandom U. It's all part of the curriculum. The NCAA Division I Women's Sweet 16 and Elite 8, March 28th through the 31st in Birmingham. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/WBB tickets. Class dismissed.
If you are a business that does a lot of printing, like a car dealership, mortgage company, real estate office, tax office, bank, school, or university, print more and spend less with ImageCraft. ImageCraft is located at 1151 Gadsden Highway in Trussville, just down from the Pinnacle Shopping Center, and online at imagecraft.net. They carry all the major brands like HP, Brother, Canon, Dell, Lexmark, Konica Minolta, Kyocera, Ricoh, Sharp, and Xerox. Shop in-store, mention TNR for a 10% discount. Shop online at imagecraft.net with coupon code TNR10. ImageCraft. Print more, spend less.
Hey, for all of your IT and printing needs, reach out to our friends at Xerox Business Solutions. Look, I'm still one of those old school guys. I print my notes every single day for the show. If you watch the show here on the next round, you see all the notes in front of me. From day one, Xerox Business Solutions, they've been with us here at the next round. Local for over 45 years. For all of your IT and printing needs, visit XeroxBusinessSolutions.com or call 205-969-3000. That's 205-969-3000. Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
I'm attorney Alexander Shinar, Alabama born, Alabama raised, and ready to fight for your rights. I have one of the largest firms in Alabama, and we are here to help you get the compensation you deserve. Call me, Alabama, 323-1000.
Your representation states that the quality of legal services being performed is greater than those of other lawyers.
All right, a look ahead at the point spreads, courtesy of MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. We'll tell you what that gets you when you sign up and make that initial deposit. Great time to do it during March Madness. Right now in college basketball, the Sweet 16, Alabama up to a 5-point favorite, Jim Dunaway. 5-point favorite now for the Crimson Tide over the BYU Cougars. The total at 175, still the biggest in the weekend by 20 points. What is that? Does that mean it's you're what is that?
I'm trying to push it up, man.
Oh,
I
okay.
need it above 5.5. I need it to get to 6.
It is headed in that direction currently. The Florida Gators, a 6.5-point favorite over Maryland. The Duke Blue Devils, a 9-point favorite over Arizona. Texas Tech, a 5.5-point favorite over Arkansas. Friday night games. Michigan State, only a 3-point favorite over Ole Miss. I think some, on the surface might have thought that would be a bigger number. You won't. Oh, you're not pushing that up. You're celebrating that one. Tennessee, a 4-point favorite over Kentucky. Auburn, an 8-point favorite over Michigan. And Houston, an 8-point favorite over the Purdue Boilermakers there in Indianapolis. All those games available to play at mybookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at mybookie.ag. You're going to get an initial sign-on bonus, a 50% deposit in the sportsbook area, plus a $10 casino chip. Mybookie.ag. That is when you use code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag. Code next round. That is mybookie.ag. Code next round. Obviously, your biggest number is Duke and Arizona. And that would be a massive upset. I think Alabama beats BYU. I cannot see them playing anybody but Duke at this point. At some point, we're either going to figure out, like I said earlier in the show, either Duke has not been tested all year, or they're the elite team in college basketball this year, and we spent way too much time talking about other teams. So that's one of the, because they have waltzed through their first 2 games, and now they're the biggest favorite in the Sweet 16 as well, a 9-point favorite.
Well, I think we know Auburn and Florida are elite teams.
They have been at
right?
They have been at times this year. Like Auburn for quite a while was an elite team. I don't know that they were at the end of the season. Florida, because of injury primarily, was an elite all year, and they were at the end of the season.
I believe if Auburn had beaten Alabama, I don't think people that would have been losing 2 of 4, not 3 of 4 going into the tournament. I don't think the reaction would have been the same to Auburn. I think Auburn's an elite team. I think Florida's an elite team. Alabama's 1-3 against those 2 teams.
Yep.
I don't know if Duke belongs in their class or not.
I don't know.
But Alabama has a win over a team in the class that I do know is elite. So and this is an if, Alabama's got to beat BYU first. If they beat BYU, you're to the Elite 8. Alabama's been a top 8 team all year long. I think then you have met expectations at the Elite 8.
Right.
And then you take your shot at Duke and see what happens. And again, you've beaten one of the teams that I think is elite already. So get an opportunity to play a team that thinks they're in that same group and see what happens. And guess what happens then? If you're able to beat Duke, then you go to the Final Four, and then what's said there? Then everyone's like, well, they just beat Duke. Alabama could win the national championship at that point. That's what people would start saying. Nobody gives Alabama a chance in the national championship race now because of Duke. Everybody's, well, they'll eventually have to play Duke, even if they beat BYU. So it's an opportunity, to quote the great Mike DuBose.
It's a
great opportunity.
A challenge and an opportunity, according to Mike DuBose, right? That was the old line, the challenge and the opportunity. All right, a reminder, NASCAR coming back to the Talladega Super Speedway. Great chance to go see the biggest, baddest track in all of NASCAR. Another amazing show in April. If you've never been to the track, you got to check it out. This beast, 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and incredible action at every turn. Don't miss the Jack Links 500 NASCAR weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, April 25 through 27. Get your tickets now, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Couple of comments in the MyBookie.ag chat room before we get to trash real quick. There's a lot of talk in the chat room about all this nonsense of if Alabama doesn't make their threes, they can't win. As we've said on this show, I think that has long since been dispelled. I haven't watched a lot of the pregame shows. Apparently, the guys on the pregame shows are still saying it. Alabama's got to make their threes. Alabama's got to make their threes. They're not even shooting the three particularly well, including Mark Sears, who has been almost, for his career, historically cold from beyond the arc of late.
That's exactly right. And the good news there is, does anybody in the chat not think that Mark Sears still has a 25-point game in him with a big 3 shooting night?
Yes.
So if I haven't shot that shot yet, I still think there's an opportunity for Mark Sears to do that. And if you do survive BYU and you get into that Duke game, is Cooper Flagg going to be on Mark Sears? If he's not, then they've got to have an elite defender who is going to try to shut Mark Sears down. Mark Sears, much like Caleb Love in that Duke-Arizona game, that there's one guy that can change the whole direction of a game, and it's Mark Sears if he gets hot. And he has not been shooting the ball well, but he's been a ferocious defender, and he's been unbelievable at distributing the basketball. In fact, in the Robert Morris game, an NCAA tournament record, breaking a 1981 record that was set in 1981, the number of assists that Alabama's guards distributed in that game. Just a wonderful distribution of the basketball from Mark Sears, playing so unselfish.
Question in the chat room from an Auburn fan. Seeding aside, obviously seeding tells you Michigan State is the better team. You've seen Auburn play Ole Miss twice, so you know that matchup. Seeding aside, what is the better matchup for Auburn moving forward? Again, we've seen them play Ole Miss, and they did to Ole Miss's defense what most teams have not been able to do, including Alabama's one of the best offenses in the country wasn't able to do against Ole Miss's defense.
Yeah. Easy answer for me here. Do you want to answer it first? Or?
Well, I was just going to say the thing about Michigan State, and I guess the genesis of the question is you'd have to beat Ole Miss 3 times. We've spent a lot of time talking about that on this show today in relation to Tennessee and Kentucky. Michigan State 13th in the nation in rebounds. We gave you the DNA of teams that Auburn struggles with, teams that can have some size on the inside, that can neutralize Broome, and teams that rebound well. They lost to Texas A&M, to Alabama, and to Florida. Those are the three best rebounding teams in the SEC. Michigan is 13th in the nation in rebounds. They're about 2 boards per game behind Alabama. So Michigan State would have a little bit of that DNA that's given Auburn problems in the regular season.
To me, Ole Miss is the easiest of the possible matchups left for Auburn to get to the Final Four. Then next is Michigan State because they're there because of Tom Izzo. The reputation, you're going to say, Jim, how can you say that's not the most difficult game left for Auburn?
Yeah.
Much like when Saban was coaching at Alabama, Izzo at Michigan State this time of year, they're going to get a bump from the head coach. But I think Auburn actually matches up. I know the rebounding there, but it's Michigan, their next game for Auburn, that I think is the toughest of the 3 teams left that'll be in the Atlanta Regional. And that's just because of the versatility of their 2 big men down low, and Trey Donaldson, who could have a huge game, but I don't expect it with the Auburn guards. But it's what Golden, the kid from Yale, who I can't remember his name, but those 2 guys down low just have the potential to cause Auburn some problems that I don't think the Michigan State bigs can do, and I know Ole Miss can't do it. So, and I know it's hard to beat a team 3 times, blah, 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 blah. But I say that in the Tennessee-Kentucky game because Tennessee's the better team, and they've lost twice to Kentucky. Hard to see Kentucky beating the better team 3 times. Auburn's a much better team than Ole Miss. I think they would easily beat them 3 times.
And let me correct myself. This would actually be the 4th meeting of Auburn and Ole Miss. Completely forgot about the one in Nashville as well. So it's actually be the 4th time they have met. So you're beating a team 4 times, but at some point you've just proven you're the better team, which
That's right.
might be the case with Kentucky and Tennessee. We do not know. It's
so.
100% the case with Alabama and Kentucky. Like Alabama's beaten them 3 times. I know Alabama's the better of those 2 teams, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen that proven in Lexington, in Tuscaloosa, and in Nashville. And Auburn has done it in Auburn, in Oxford, and in Nashville. So I'm willing to say the same thing. I know it'd be hard to beat a team 4 times, but if Alabama were playing Kentucky in the Sweet 16, I'd look at that matchup and say I think it's a clear advantage for Alabama.
Oh, it's potential to be a national semifinal game if it's Alabama, Kentucky, and San Antonio. I think Alabama would go into the game. Not meaning they would win it, but I think they would go into it with a little comfort.
Yep. All right, let's
to quote the great Kentucky Sports Radio Matt Jones, I'm not even sure we'd have to play great.
Let's do trash in it, Tyler, if you will.
And listen, I like buttholes. I am one, and I like them. I think if you're a competitive guy, there's a little bit of butthole in you probably.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
You've always owned it. You've always owned it, Jimmy D.
I'm a butthole.
Mortgage Right brings you trash every day. Veteran-owned, veteran-operated at mortgageright.com/TNR is the website to visit when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, refinance your home. They've got great programs for veterans, but for everyone as well. mortgageright.com/TNR. We are seeing more and more of the celebrity running for president. It's happened here in the United States, happened in Ukraine. Now it might be happening in Ireland. UFC fighter Conor McGregor, Jimmy D, solidified his bid for Ireland's presidency Thursday with a promise to preserve his native country by tackling migration, days after meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House. If you're Conor McGregor, would you ever consider running for president of Ireland?
What's his campaign slogan? We're going to build a wall and make Scotland pay for it?
I guess so. Hey, let's try it here. It works in the United States. McGregor has decided to campaign as a leader in opposition to European Migration Pact, which would create a streamlined approach for border security and immigration, speed up the asylum process. A lot of boring words there. He has suggested citizens vote on implementing his pact instead of the legislation. He's got a better idea, he says. He says, for clarity, also, as president, I would put forth this bill to referendum. Although I oppose greatly this pact, it is neither mine nor government's choice to make. It's the people of Ireland. So basically, he's the popular candidate. He's saying, I think the people should vote. We got all these political leaders that are voting. I think the people should vote.
And everybody get their Guinness. Let's go throw it in the harbor.
Ireland, the choice is yours. It's an easy one. Vote for me as your president, and we will save Ireland together. McGregor wrote separately on X on Thursday. This is real, right, Tyler? I mean, he's being legit. Yeah?
Yes, this is real. He's running against this this policy to make
immigration easier, basically.
Easier to immigrate into the European Union.
I don't know, Jim. I mean, who's to say he doesn't have great ideas just because he's a UFC fighter, right? I mean, why should we assume that?
Ronald Reagan was an actor.
That's right.
MIG, Make Ireland Great Again.
MIGA.
MIGA?
MIGA.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd go Long I.
My God. And make Ireland great again. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. I don't know if it's...
Hey, honest to goodness, though. Business idea right here for free.
Okay.
We get green hats, MIGA, Make Ireland Great Again, and see if we could sell them over there real quick. I bet we could make a penny.
Yeah, we probably could. Now, this euro to dollar translation is going to be tough for us. I don't know if I guess we can manage that.
Shipping's going to be an issue as well.
Shipping's going to be an issue. We're going to have to.
These are going to be some expensive hats.
Says the guy who has to do the shipping.
I know.
Of course, Tyler. Yeah, shipping's going to be an issue.
Tyler's not wrong. It's a longer address, I presume. You know, you got to write extra stuff on there, Tyler, on the address label.
When I've had to ship stuff internationally, like when I resell stuff, it is just a pain. You got to fill out customs forms, and then one time I was shipping to Japan, so I had to use like the little pens they give you at the post office and start like writing kanji. Man, that was awful.
Kanji.
Yeah. So I mean, but if we got you an assistant, Tyler, could you handle it? If it's such a great money maker.
The Irish shipping assistant.
Yeah. How about this? How about we just patent the idea of MIGA,
Yeah.
Make Ireland Great Again, and we just patent that, and we'll get somebody else to make it.
That's right. Yeah. When somebody else does it, then we just make our money off of it.
I mean, we can't be MIGA and have them make the gear overseas. They need to make it in Ireland.
That's right. It's got to be made in Ireland. Yes. Yeah. A jury has awarded a delivery driver $50 million in damages in Los Angeles after the driver was badly burned after hot tea spilled in his lap February 2020. That's according to the LA Times.
New word for tea and biscuits.
Yes, indeedy. The driver's name is Michael Garcia. He was handed 2 hot teas and a beverage carrier. He claims the lids were not properly secure, so they spilled in his lap, resulting in, quote, horrific burn injuries that required multiple surgeries and, quote, permanent disfigurement to his groin area. Sounds very painful. Times reported that Garcia's genitals were subject to multiple rounds of skin grafts, surgeries, permanent disfiguration, additional medical treatments, pain, and unfortunately for him, sexual dysfunction. Yeah.
Is that where the term teabag came from?
It's awful, Jim. Awful. CBS News reports Starbucks had initially offered Garcia $3 million. The settlement increased all the way to $30 million, and now he has been awarded $50 million by a jury. Man, that's tough.
That's why you never want to go to the jury. Because you're going to have at least 9 guys sitting on the jury
that's
going,
right.
damn.
Yep.
And they show one picture, and it's over with. You're trying to pay him $3 million for that, my man? No. $3 bazillion. So bazillion is not real. Look at that picture, Your Honor.
Yep.
Okay, $3 bazillion.
Your Honor, we have a hung jury. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Still play on words there. If you knocked over a Dairy Queen, how much would you like to walk away with? What's worth it?
Well, I will tell you that I won some cash money at a casino here in Cleveland.
Tell that story real quick. That's a pretty funny story. We haven't told it yet today. We've had so much to get to.
Quickly, there were some Alabama folks that were going to meet me at the casino.
Okay.
And to watch the basketball game and then gamble afterwards. And I was like, the sports book here, they have legalized sports gambling, which every state should. And I'm sitting there, and there are some open seats, but it says you can't just sit there. So I asked them, what does it take for me to get those 4 seats right there for us to watch the games when my buddy gets here? Because I'm the first one there. And they're like, you've got to have, for those 4 seats, you'll have to have $200 in open bets. And I said, what games are left? And the guy behind the counter did exactly that. He laughed. He says, are you telling me just to sit there, you're going to bet $200, not even knowing who's playing? I was like, yes, I am.
You've just met me, I see.
Like, these are the 4 games left. And I said, give me 100 on Illinois minus the points, and give me 100 on Oregon minus the points. I gave him 2 $100 bills, and I sat down and waited for my buddies to get there. And then Illinois easily covers, Oregon easily covers, I go up, and the same guy says, "Do you feel guilty taking our money? I thought you were joking with me. You obviously were prepared." And I was like, "Dude, I promise you, I am the worst gambler in the world, but I think I've now found the way to do it. Don't even think about it. Just rush up, ask what games are being played, and go with my instinct."
That's amazing. Good for you. Well, it was not a
But
gamble.
my point being, I've tried to use that cash everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody accepts cash anymore. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, no cash, card only.
Wow.
A lot of the restaurants I've tried to pay, card only.
Wow. Tell them you're walking out. I'm walking out unless you let me pay cash. The gamble was not worth it for Allison Fetting. She's 44. She knocked over a Dairy Queen in Coconut Creek, Florida. She made off with a grand total of $1.50. Fetting was booked into
card only
Broward County Jail on a robbery charge Friday while in the midst of serving state prison time for multiple robbery and drug charges in Palm Beach County. She's got a recurring issue, I see here. Authorities said she brandished a black handgun, ordered the clerk to give her money from the register. Instead, police said she ran off with a tip jar containing the paltry $1.50. You're right. This is getting less and less of a payoff as people use less cash. As of Saturday, Fetting was in Broward Main Jail awaiting an arraignment and a hearing scheduled for Wednesday. And then finally, a wealthy India-based dog enthusiast has made headlines today by buying the most expensive dog in the world. S. Satish, 51, bought a Katabam Okami. Dunaway, this is a rare wolf dog that is a cross between a wolf and a Caucasian Shepherd. I don't know why I have to bring race into it. Wolf and a Caucasian Shepherd.
Mountains of Caucasus.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I would say that there is a good chance that on the short list of purchasing dogs, it has been on Lance's short list at one point, I'm sure.
They won't be for long when I tell you the price. A rare wolf dog. It's the most expensive dog in the world. What do you think this 51-year-old in India paid for this dog, Jim?
And I'm getting a purebred?
Purebred wolfhound, 8 months old, stands 30 inches tall, already weighs 165 pounds.
And I'm not the king of the north in Game of Thrones.
No, you're just a normal person apparently in India.
I'm gonna say that dog would cost me 24,000 rubles.
$24,000 dollars.
$24,000. Yeah.
$5.7 million. You were just off. $5.7 million. I know.
Shut up! It eventually dies.
I do not think it is eternal. No, I think it will die.
I do not think the dog is immortal.
Yeah, I don't think it's immortal. I believe that dog is going to pass.
It's a wolf dog. You don't know that.
It is a wolf dog. I mean, I don't think it's particularly a good-looking dog by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's a normal dog to me.
I mean, it looks
Are
like
these
a
the dogs
wolf
that
dog.
guard the gates of hell? Are these the guards the gates of hell?
I've never been to hell. Never been to hell. I don't know that story.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I get to Newark.
There's the line. That is trash. Presented by Mortgage Right. MortgageRight.com/TNR. MortgageRight.com/TNR. The perfect place to start. Hey, by the way, we had some storms come through the Deep South last night. That will be a continuous thing in the South this time of year. Severe weather can pop up when you least expect it. It's why Alabama Power is always ready with the tech and know-how to get your power back on fast. With tools to prevent outages and a team on call 24/7, they are there to keep you safe and in the loop. You can stay ahead to head to alabamapower.com/storm for storm safety tips, how to report an outage, and how to stay updated when storms are coming. That's alabamapower.com/storm. Stay safe with Alabama Power. All right, a couple minutes left in the show. Dunaway, you're about to do what Alabama has done and fly from Cleveland to New Jersey. Alabama will have practice this afternoon in New Jersey. Then tomorrow, and then the open shoot around and media availability on Wednesday, and then they're back playing Thursday. Feels like there used to be more downtime. You're right. When you play that game on Sunday in this new format and turn right around and have to play Thursday, I know it's just one day, but it feels like a lot less than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a quick turnaround. And keep in mind that Nelson has been hurt, but one of the best things that I heard when I talked to him in the locker room was after the first game when he played 7 minutes that he felt the same way, and it was not a big concern for him anymore. And he played with the brace really well, and he played all of his minutes in this next game. So a little more of the treatment, and he should be at least in the same level he was in the last game. And then you got Jaron Stevenson, who hurt his wrist, was heavily taped in the first game, played without the tape yesterday. So Alabama about as healthy as you can be going into this, getting your legs back and on the travel, get there early, not have to come home and then travel back. Smart call by Nate Oats.
Yeah, you were there Friday. I mean, basically Nate Oats said, Grant Nelson looked at him and said, I don't know if we win this game without me. I'm in. And Nate Oats was like, if you feel it, let's go. And he made a difference. He was a huge factor in the game last night, playing basically his role as a starter.
Yeah, and let me tell you, when he gets that right arm swinging, knocking balls around in there, and they're letting them whack away at each other, that was a physical game. And go see the sound that we've sent out at Next Round Live if you haven't yet, because Mo Diabate let me know that there was a cut-up of tape that Nate Oats had played for his guys, and Mark Sears as well, and to use as motivation, because a lot of people were questioning, because of Alabama's style, whether they could be a physical team or not. And Alabama showed how physical they could be. And they almost were defending the SEC. They were like, we play in the SEC. You're telling us we can't be physical? Watch Auburn play. Watch Florida play. Watch Tennessee play. Watch Texas A&M play, is basically what the guys were saying. You're going to tell us that St. Mary's going to be more physical than those guys?
And then Auburn, Stephen Pearl will be on the show tomorrow, the associate head coach of the Auburn Tigers. But then they travel to Atlanta. Same type of schedule for them, as the Auburn Tigers will meet the media on Thursday and have their open shoot around all that. It's going to be a heck of an arena at State Farm with all those teams in it. But those Auburn fans were buying up tickets. The secondary market was already up to around $600 or $700 for a get-in over the weekend.
And I would say, Brownie, part of that is that Auburn knew for a long, long time that they were going to be in Atlanta, Lexington in Atlanta. And so because Duke was always going to stay on the East Coast. So good for Auburn. And this Auburn team is poised to make it back to the Final Four. And you briefly ran by the stat earlier, but we talked about it. I don't know if we said it on the air. For the first time in 40 years, Alabama and Auburn the same year are in the Sweet 16 together. And I believe that was Sonny and Wimp back in 1985, the last time that happened. That's amazing.
All right, we'll talk to you from Jersey tomorrow, Dunaway. Safe travels. Have a good flight, and we'll see you there in Jersey. Can't wait.
All right, buddy. God bless you. God bless America.
That's right. You too. Everybody enjoy your afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock on The Next Round.